When I grow up, I want to be a math teacher or a professor.
When I grow up, I want to be a chef.
I want to be a fire and EMS worker.
When I grow up, I want to be an artist.
When I grow up, I want to be an artist.
I want to be a doctor.
When I grow up, I want to be an actress.
When I grow up, I want to be a scientist.
I want to be a professional ballet dancer.
When I grow up, I want to be a scientist that does chemistry.
When I grow up, I want to be a scientist. I want to make the world a better place.
To help me achieve my dreams, I need my teachers to be able to help me to learn everything I need to learn and then continue to dance.
I look for a teacher that does a good job and makes things harder. I like a teacher who listens and helps.
To me, a good teacher is kind, respectful. That's about it.
I want a teacher that's kind, that listens, that pay attention.
Kindness, willing to help or like tutor them. Like they will actually like help them. Like tell them like, you can't do this, you need to do this or that. Yeah.
I love a teacher that can take their time with me instead of forcing it and rushing it.
Okay, I look forward to a teacher is, I expect them to be helpful and teach me good and be my friend.
I want a teacher who helps me understand things more and helps other students.
I would like my teachers to be patient because I'm more of a hands-on.
I'm looking forward to the new school year to learn a lot more things and become smarter.
I just want to tell all teachers and thank them for all the support and making me want to be an actor.
Thank you, teachers, everything you did for me to learn.
Thank you, teacher, for helping me.
I want to thank my art teachers for taking me this far. It's been a long way.
Teachers, I am looking forward to see you next year.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for helping me with my class and make sure I get things right and helping me get A's and B's.
Thank you for letting us learn every year all the stuff that we need to go to the next grade.
Thank you, Ms. Simon, for helping me do all my art.
That keep being good and doing your job and just keep on doing your job and you'll be good.
What time is it?
So the Liddy Summer Camp program is all about STEM-based projects and different modulars. So the kids are faced with different scientific challenges and different topics, focusing on the engineering design program and the scientific method.
3, 2, 1.
It's not like regular school, so that's what makes it engaging. The challenges that the kids have throughout the different modules also make it engaging as well. But it's more so, I'm coming, learning throughout the summer, but I'm having fun throughout the summer as well.
I really like that they let you use your creativity and they kind of make you feel special. They let you kind of do your own thing. They give you instructions, but they let you mostly follow your own path. I like that they give us challenges that I'm able to handle, and I really love designing things.
Mr. C's presentation is good like always. I saw him at the Victoria Theater and his was good too, so he's just doing the same things, and I like his things. I like to see it every time they come here. It's good.
I like that it's fun. You learn a lot of stuff like science, math, reading, and like the science experiment we just did, it was really cool.
parents or others may think, oh, it's summertime, so learning stops. Learning never stops. So as they continue to come to the program, you know, just enriching them and inspiring them to want to be inventors and inspiring them to continue to work with others and collab with others. So I do think that this program should continue to be going. That's why this is my 3rd year coming, because again, I'm having fun too with it.
Today is just an example of what the conclusion looks like. The beginning of the journey in Dayton Public Schools starts in preschool, and we can take you from preschool all the way to this space here. This is a wonderful place to have your kids have confidence and faith in us that when it ends, it'll end with a positive note, like what you see on signing day with kids going on to do some great things. Purpose is to create energy and excitement around what kids are going to do next, to acknowledge whether or not they're going to be entrepreneurs, military, college, or if it's just going to go straight into the workforce. So it's to acknowledge that, hey, my time has come and I want to tell the world what I'm going to do. And to see kids signing to say this is where I'm going to finish the rest of my life or these are my goals, it's really important for us to come together and rally around kids.
I see it as a big achievement and a celebratory thing for us seniors because, you know, it's the turning point into what we're about to go to next in life. So having that being celebrated for us is just definitely a great experience, and I love that for us.
5 of our 7 high schools are new principals, so they get a chance to talk about how important it is to have their first graduating class. As a former high school principal, there's nothing better than graduation, and now my first year as a superintendent, it's going to be really fun to have 7 graduations where you get a chance to say, welcome to the world. This was not your last stop. This is just the beginning. We're still a phone call, email, and text away as you go throughout your adult life. I'm from Dayton, Dayton kid, here as a superintendent, so we're here for you for a lifetime.
So today we're having an all-city arts festival, and we have lots of music today. We have combined all of our schools together to make music performances all day today. We have choirs, we have bands, we have orchestras, and we're all here to celebrate music in Dayton Public Schools. A lot of these students come from schools where maybe their ensemble, their band, or their choir is really, really small. And so it's scary to come out and perform in front of people anyway. And especially when you're used to just a little small group in your classroom, but they've been doing a great job. I think it's a great experience for them because we all know as adults that we have to go and do some things that maybe aren't in our comfort zones, but with this group of people, their peers, they feel a little bit safer, and hopefully after this experience, it'll kind of feed a fire and they'll want to do it more and more.
Really, music can tap into that creativity that a lot of kids just naturally have, but seems to dissipate often as they get older. So we're tapping into that creativity, giving them that self-expression. So for a lot of our kids, this is their first opportunity to get up in front of people, especially in a venue this big, seeing that big smiles on their faces, especially at the end when they're coming off the stage, excitement. And you know, this is a good opportunity for them to perform and show off for their families, their teachers, their classmates, and greater Dayton community. I think Dayton Public Schools has a huge amount of talent in our district, and we're happy to be here showing that off today.
Tight ends right next to them. DB's right here next to them. Hey, everybody understand that? Let's go. Get to work. Get to work. Hey, get a break. Hey, hard work on 3. Hard work on me. Hard work on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hard. out of here. Let's get out of here.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about bus safety. Every day, thousands of Dayton Public School students ride the bus to and from school, and it's important to know how to stay safe. First things first, make sure to get to your bus stop at least 10 minutes early, and while you're waiting, stand in a safe spot away from the road. Once the bus arrives, go straight to your seat so the bus can start moving again. And remember, while you're on the bus, stay seated and keep the aisles and exits clear. Just like in a classroom, listen to the driver and follow their instructions. This includes no foul language, no sticking your arms or head out the windows, and no eating or drinking on the bus. Lastly, make sure you only get off the bus at your assigned stop and be sure to walk home safely. Let's all work together to follow these rules and keep our bus rides safe for everyone. Thanks for listening, and stay safe, DPS.
That's a wrap on the 2023-2024 school year. Family and friends gathered at UD Arena to congratulate Dayton Public Schools seniors, class of 2024. Graduates were filled with huge smiles and cheers as they celebrated this exciting achievement. Remember, seniors, you'll always have a home here in DPS. Best of luck to the class of 2024. Students all across the district this year have done amazing things. We had students competing in state, national, and even international competitions. Our students are being recognized for so many things, and we couldn't be any more proud. This is why we choose DPS. The district's podcast, DPS The Next Level, is officially award-winning. The podcast won the Best of the Best podcast for all of Ohio by the Ohio School Public Relations Association. And it doesn't stop there. The district's Public Information Office also won several more awards, including Best of the Best Video and 8 Mark of Distinction awards. I'm Demaya Woodall. Enjoy your summer and be safe. We'll catch you next year here on In Case You Missed It.
Actually, we didn't graduate, he was expelled.
Well, now, I mean,
Expelled, and then probably 2 weeks later, involved in that murder.
They said he don't even want to come out.
He's been gone
40 years.
Really?
Yep.
Where'd he go? Dunbar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been in prison 40 years.
For what?
He killed a kid. It was my cousin, actually. His name, he was Woods, and he was on his way to Ohio State. And so because he was such a high-profile kid, the way they did it, they ambushed him.
I did like Kid.
He go with another guy.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yep.
Was they Jefferson Township?
No, they were right around the corner for Thurgood.
I don't know why I remember hearing about that.
Yep.
Was it Groundhog that told me about that?
Because he was
Tell
on
me every story. Groundhog probably did. Because that was one of his. He was sitting in the car, right?
Yeah.
And they came from around because his brother got into a fight like the day or something before.
Mm-hmm. That was it.
They called him preacher.
The Cartwrights were with him too, but Dana's been home.
Karen, we're gonna have to take over if Maya don't pick up till 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I gotta pick up my daughter. Liz from daycare.
It's not an excuse absence.
I'll be right back.
I like that.
We'll be gone by then. With Karen by then, we'll be gone by then. That's how y'all playing me? All right. Everybody up and ready? Where your people at, Dr. Lawrence?
No people.
You gotta bring these people to the meeting, Dr. Lawrence. That's how we talk to them.
They were told they don't gotta come though.
Oh, no, we gotta do something, Dr. Lawrence. They gotta be at the meeting.
You know, from the little rumor mill I got.
They gotta be at the
Don't
meeting.
leave out Dr. Jones and Treasurer.
Yeah.
Yeah, where y'all people be at? Who?
Where's the?
Oh, I don't see him. No, usually the whole cabinet is here.
I know, right? We
Hey.
we're gonna talk about that.
They were told not to come.
I was in there on
Talk about
Sunday.
that.
proud
From
of
what
me.
I was told.
I'm on my way.
You investigated that?
Hey, summer break is over with.
Right.
Even PIO don't come anymore.
Hey, man.
That's okay.
All right, we ready? Everybody loaded up?
It's an policy to it. Look, you're right. You're right. That'll be what happens. There'll be a policy.
You need to, man. I was gonna ask questions.
Hey, man, my people are tired, man.
Whoa, this is work.
People are exhausted.
They not
man.
$45,000 employees.
Exactly.
They're exhausted. They're trying to get.
So
school.
being tired is a reason now. The people should better go home.
They're trying to get school open.
Hey, Miss Kid and Miss Leslie here.
It's you and I just had this conversation. My people are dealing with like people out there.
Dr.
Students, kids.
Davis, great to see you. Let me bring out my notes now. I see you in the audience.
All right, is everybody ready? All right. You up yet, Mr. Bailey? Dr. Bailey? It's coming. I'm just load up. Taking its time.
Ready?
Here we go.
Okay.
I'm done with y'all today.
She did it.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order our August 13th, 2024 review session. Madam Treasurer, may I have a roll call?
President Smith,
Present.
Ms. Wick,
Present.
Dr. Goodwin,
Here.
Dr. Bailey,
Here.
Mr. Lacey,
Here.
Mr. Walker,
Present.
Ms. Reinhardt,
She has an excused absence.
6 in attendance.
Thank you. May we stand for our pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Dr. Lawrence, can you get us going, please, sir?
Absolutely, I sure can.
recommend the approval of the following resignations in Section A of the Superintendent's Personnel Agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Is this for a vote?
For a vote or?
Yes.
Okay, can I just ask, I mean, this is request number 5 for the HR document to go back to the original format. This is still, again, probably 2 months in now where this request has been made and it just has not occurred. Because this does not say that it's for a vote.
Could we, I hear you, could we talk about it in executive session?
We cannot,
talk
because
about it now.
it's been 5 times now.
Okay. Okay.
So
5 times.
I will say that I have been one that had requested a change back, but I also have been in conversations with our HR team, not only with our HR team, with our personal staff as our board staff, Ms. Kidd, and talk with Ahmed as well. So I think where we are is a space where we need to find a medium where the current way, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Kidd or Dr. Davis, has been far more efficient for the HR team in inputting information and then also getting things over to Treasury and Payroll to find these assignments. Dr. Davis, if you'd like to come up and tell me if I'm wrong on that piece, and then also how your team has been feeling. Because I also want to lift up what Board Member Walker is saying, but I want to bring more context to the situation.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, as shared with you previously, the way that it is organized now that you see it is much easier for us to navigate, and it helps to reduce the human error. By having it in the different sections, administrative, certified, classified, the staff on the user end of it then know what to do with that. There are certain rules that follow each one of those categories, and it makes it easier than having it all together. It also has ease for Mrs. Kidd, where the change you suggested today, she was able to do that in 30 seconds versus 45 minutes. And so it improves the staff efficiency, it helps us to be more productive, and it's just easier for us on the user end, especially for the payroll and treasurer's office.
Okay, now I will say on our end, it hurts my little, I'm old, my eyes, they hurt.
Yes, sir, and I have reached out to the company. I'm trying to get it in color, because you know how you said you wanted it separated in color. As I showed you, their color functionality right now is not ideal, and it doesn't look very pleasant to the eyes, and so working with them on being able to get that feature for you.
Okay, and I appreciate just you explaining that. I appreciate Ms. Kidd and Ahmed and your team for talking about it, because that was my concern. And I think that's that piece of what is good for the work to make sure people are input correctly if we have to do changes, but then also on the flip side, what is easier or what helps us as a board vote for things. So I'm glad you were here, and I wanted to lift up what Board Member Walker said. So if are there any other comments for Dr. Davis while she's up here?
Let me be, so a process that has been probably a part of this Board of Education for the last 15 years, now for HR, it makes sense to change that format and do it this way. The issue, I think, even with this one is, even if they're moving or anything like that, it does not give clarity really with that. If we go back to a meeting back in June with looking at the HR document and things like that, even with this format, there's staff members on here, or even previous meetings with this format has been classified as something where they are not in that role. They're classified as clerical, and their role was not clerical. So I'm just curious.
That has nothing to do with the feature or putting it that way. If that's an error that we made on our end by putting someone in there incorrectly, that's an error outside of the system. The system and the way that you're viewing it has nothing to do with someone being input in there incorrectly.
Yeah, and again, for me, because members of the public were the one who expressed as well the format, they do not care for this new format. And again, that has been a practice of the Dayton Public Schools Board of Education for probably the last 15 or so years. And now we have changed that format to be this, because if someone opens it on their cell phone, they cannot access the same way that we can on a desktop computer. Whereas with the actual PDF form, it was easy to open, even on a cell phone, tablet, or anything like that, and it worked. Don't understand why this change has occurred. It just, and even now, I mean, looking at this, to see if it's for a vote, we have to look up as far as the recommended action, whereas on the form, it actually showed even the public on the form for a vote. maybe it's just me being, primary education educated or secondary, whatever the case may be. I just do not agree with changing things, okay, I digress.
Okay. Now I would say 15 may be going back a little far. We weren't on board docs yet. But
You're right, but even that format, they had packets that was mailed
Right.
out
And so
by
I think
delivery.
that means
They had that same thing.
over time, we work on things. And so I think this is something that is a work in progress. So as I do prefer looking at the old form, I also understand talking to Ms. Kidd and saying that if something changes where it isn't, I also believe we shouldn't change things often, but that is a difference in going in and creating the PDFs and going things. So while it is not pleasing to everyone, I would encourage everyone to reach out to HR, have those conversations, because even with members of the public, I spoke to a former board member today who shared the same issues, but when I talked to him about what I had heard and gathered, the first thing he said was, I understand. And so I think that would behoove us the best, is to really have those conversations and see that, and then work together with our HR team, with our Ms. Kidd or Ms. Guerin, to see how do we find that medium of what is best for inputting data and making sure people are put in correctly and we're working through it. And then what is pleasing for us, because it's two sides of the coin. It's the side of what we have to do, but then also I'll respect what we have to do as the people who vote on these things. Okay. Dr. Goodwin.
Yes, a couple things. I'm gonna echo Board Member Walker's concern on, I see and I do get the change and how it helps you guys on the front end. But before we roll it out completely, I kind of want us to be able to see how it sizes up on tablets and phones, knowing that a lot of people who look at our things do look at it on that one. So the scroll feature is a little off, and you stated that you were in conversations with the board docs individuals, correct?
Mhm.
If there is some feature on there to assist with that one, on the bottom of on the phone one right now, it still says a PDF is available, but that doesn't come up at all. So if there is a way to even export this out to make that save one to put on there, I think that would be helpful, as well as a thing in there. You already know about the color for me, so I don't have to harp on that piece again on that one. But I don't want us to be the experiment, though. Like, I do understand the back end side that you guys are getting more accurate. That's great. What the format is, like, when you guys get it to that point of we're good to go, and it is addressing all the needs that people are saying that they need to have in it, that would be my request of when you take us live on that one, because I don't want to come back another week and then it's something else on that one. So as these changes are coming, and actually, let me ask, are you guys still allowing changes the day of?
I'm sorry?
To the board docs? Like, when is the last date for you to put something in on the board doc?
The last date is the Friday that we have the agenda review.
Okay. And Ms. Kidd, did you state that you got a change request today?
That change came from board president.
Yes.
Stop making, look, you making it hard for him, board president. Dang, it's you the problem.
I only got it from my predecessor.
No, we was straight. We was rocking and rolling. But yes, I think those pieces right there of, and even to setting up time with, although I know I've talked to you, Dr. Davis, about it. I've already heard that you talked to President Smith. I'm gonna assume you talked to board member Wick, because I think you guys did this as an agenda setting, but making sure that the other board members, if they do have concerns on the format, being able to get that kind of time to hear what they need to see. As I've told you, we have Acers up here. I mean, I brought my own computer today because it's bigger than what they give me up here, but my space is small up here. So being able to see these things and go through them. I have a question on the format of it, like if you got something in front of you right now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You want to see my computer so you can see what I'm talking about?
If you're talking about format, I'm pretty familiar with
it. On the change request of the first line, the resignation line, things are like nicely spaced out. When you get to the next line, it's like condensed and right on the line. Is there a way for you guys to be able to have that consistency?
Are you talking about, Dr. Goodwin, you talking about Are you saying the two on the resignations are different from the change request?
Well, I've said the spacing of it, so there are more blocks, there are more cells in the change request.
Oh, I got you.
So
I
it's
said
smaller.
under position type?
Right, it's smaller in that
So it
section.
can
And my
distance them
question,
in.
can it be pulled out to be, or even like just something that you can read it? Because it's like right on the line across of it, so it's hard to read over here.
Yes.
I don't know if that's something that you, I know on the mobile app, I see that there's a difference of size. On the computer, it looks like it's the same size, but if that is something that you guys could also find out too, to not have the text directly on the line and having some of that space so I can see with the next thing and it's just not running as a complete sentence, that would be helpful for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think for my suggestion with looking at it all is finding that way where we can, to Dr. Goodwin's point, export something so while we have A through E, there's still almost like this master list. For those who like to just look at what a former board member told me was the HR one-stop shop, where they can go. And so I think finding that path, but I would encourage everyone to schedule some time with Ms. Kidd, with Dr. Davis, because I think that's one of those things, if we're looking at how or do we improve functionality, it brings up that piece that functionality is not the same across the board. And lastly, just for me, I think that we have to find that space because as we move forward, if we're gonna improve, and this board is a board that is very much about improving things, so I don't want us to go back and forth with not wanting change or then sometimes saying, that's how we've always done things because this is a board that has often said we cannot just do things because that's the way we've done things. So I think that is the conversation to be had, and I know that we have the right people in the room to fix this conversation, and I appreciate the time and space, and I appreciate Board Member Walker for bringing it up because I would rather us talk about these things on the front end and let's get a grip on it and not have to have things come down the line. So if we can do that, I would be greatly appreciative of everyone because I too, Board Member Walker, saw this first, and you can ask Dr. Davis. I was aghast, and Dr. Davis would tell you I fussed her out, but I didn't really fuss her out. It was just more of a, maybe fuss David out.
You were aghast. You did something you've never done. It was an immediate no.
Y'all warm down like that in.
I've never seen you do that.
Please look into the mobile option because Board Docs is not mobile friendly.
Yeah.
And it's like even when you go to the next thing, it like skips you ahead. The mobile version is more
Board Docs
frustrating.
is terrible to look at online
Mobile.
as it is.
Yeah.
On the phone, I
It's
don't ever
worse.
get it. Yeah, you click the agenda, it moves you all the way through. You click something, it takes you to a whole new meeting.
And
It's
if you try to slide over, so when you turn your phone into landscape mode and you try to slide over to read it, it will take you to a whole nother thing. And for not just us who look at it, but the many of individuals who call us about things on the board agenda, is making that a better transparent process for them is really important to me because they're gonna complain to us and then we're gonna have to complain to you, and that, what's it called, the circle of yelling?
Circle of yelling.
Circle of yelling, it just starts all over again. But if we could get that remedy too, I think that would just help this entire transition process.
Yes, ma'am.
I will clarify for me. For me, it was more of a Dayton Public Schools way. I see that this is the format that your prior school district used, and I don't want to be like anybody else.
Okay.
That's just by me looking up their board docs and see that that's the format as well.
Understandable. So I think everyone on that. Ms. Wick and Mr. Lacy.
Thank you. I appreciate my colleagues' input, and I know that, we're all used to looking at things in a certain way from a certain lens and perspective, and certainly we are volunteers and on the go, so a lot of times we're looking at our mobile devices and different things, so I appreciate all their consideration and what they've offered. But I do also believe, for me, and I look at things on a computer screen, my life, how we live our lives is differently. When I look at it, it seems much cleaner and much more organized. I know change is hard, and I really get that, but I would like us to, we talk about modernizing our processes and making things more, just easier for our staff, for our employees. So I would hope that all of our board members reach out and defer to your expertise as an HR representative and the work that you do in trying to improve the district and our processes, and that, you know, we can work together to collaborate to create a document that works for all of us. But I really appreciate all of your hard work towards making this a better process for the organization, and I can see the value in it. So thank you for that. So
Thank you.
thanks.
Mr. Lacy?
I was looking for a teacher that was hired August 1st, and I haven't seen that person. It's, would it be common that we're still getting paperwork together or something like that?
It could
Okay.
be. I don't know the teacher, so I wouldn't be able to speak specifically about who you're asking. If you would like to ask me after the meeting.
New health teacher for, it's already new home birth teacher. Health teacher for Stivers. But that's fine.
I'll find out.
On the original motion, can I pull A1 and A2 till after executive session?
A1, A2?
Yes. And on A4, this body approved that change at the prior meeting back in, I want to say June, maybe May, for the 1-year, 2-year renewals. So I'm curious as to why we're doing this now when that was on that spreadsheet of changes.
What's the motion?
The motion was the regular motion to accept the
To accept
superintendent's
A1,
recommendation.
yeah, accept.
So we're just on A,
Yeah, 2A.
2A.
2A, we're not gonna do them all, okay.
No, all of them are for a vote. They're just separate categories.
Separate.
Board member,
Go ahead.
no, you go, Dr. Moore. Dr. Moore.
Oh, no, you can answer his question. It's
Okay.
a technical question.
Yeah, I thought that we just approved the organizational chart. I didn't think that that individual was on that list of 1-year and 2-year, but if you caught that and they were, then you shaking your head, Dr. Jones, as a former HR?
I'm looking at the document now.
Okay. All right, then we can remove the change request.
Yep, this would have been done on the May 20th, 2024 meeting.
Okay. So I'd like to,
Dr. Gowan?
I'd like to remove my motion because two have been tabled
That's all.
until after exec session and the other one's already been approved.
That makes sense. So there's nothing really on there to do on that? All right,
So then we want to, but I did have a question.
go ahead.
Actually, no, it can wait. Never mind.
Okay, Dr. Lawrence?
I recommend the approval of the following certified appointments for a vote.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any questions on the motion?
Yes.
Dr. Gowan?
Okay. I just needed to be explained to me in a way that I can understand. As I go through these appointments here, I don't understand why the long-term subs, although they may have higher education, they're compensated more than our licensed teachers on the same step, but they have a lower education. And I'm just trying to understand how a first-year teacher, licensed teacher with a bachelor, their compensation is less than looks like step 1 non-licensed or long-term substitute teacher licensed with a master's. And I'm just trying to understand, like, and then even on here, I see one with a PhD. That again is a long-term sub.
All long-term subs come in at step 1 of their corresponding degree level. So a person at a master's degree is going to naturally make more than a person with a bachelor's degree. Even if it is a licensed teacher coming in at step 1, if the other person has a PhD, the salary schedule is automatically higher at a PhD than it is for a person with a bachelor's.
But why is that?
I didn't create that. That's the
Right.
Is that a us
that is the
thing?
DEA
Yes.
negotiated agreement.
Yes.
That's where these salaries, we don't pick these out
So-
generically. It's listed. There's
So-
in the back.
The DEA negotiated agreement, because I didn't see it in there, and I just want to see what it says, places a long-term or
Well,
not certified.
Long-term subs, regardless of their education, come in at step 1. However, they do get credit for their education.
It's that second part that I'm trying to figure out.
Correct. So if
Is
I have
that-
a master's degree and I'm only a long-term sub, I'm coming in at step 1 of the master's column, which is higher.
Can you send, or whoever, wherever that is, because again, I haven't seen that, and I've reached out to ask the DEA about this as
You have
well.
not seen the salary schedule?
I have not seen the second part of the long-term sub getting not only getting the same thing that the licensed teacher would get, in the sense that you get credit for your degree, which it doesn't necessarily help us as a district to have another individual at that level that isn't licensed. I do understand the incentive to honor that once they get licensed. So it's that part that I'm trying to understand. Is this a practice or is this
You'd have to, I mean.
It's a practice?
Yeah, doctor,
It
I mean,
is
excuse
a
me.
practice.
Madam Treasurer is telling me it is a practice, it is not contractual. So
No, this is a practice that predates us.
we just talked about in the last conversation about us not doing what we've always done to make it make sense, guys.
You just did say that.
You just said, not you, but I'm just saying, as we are making these progressions forward, I
did say that.
absolutely want these individuals to be licensed with us. We have put a lot of resources into helping people get licensed. And I completely agree with honoring a person on their higher education once they meet our immediate need of having certified licensed teachers. I don't understand why we would compensate someone higher when they don't meet the basic need that we have of being able to say that we have a fully licensed.
So not only do we agree with you, so does the DEA president. He and I have had conversations around this. This is the negotiation year for the teacher's contract. And we want to move forward and make some changes, because the argument is that if I'm a long-term sub, I make the same amount of money as somebody who went to school for 4 years, got a degree, and said, I'm going to be a teacher.
That's correct.
Yeah, and we don't agree with that either.
So how do we stop that now and instead of keep doing, everyone who's talking right now agrees that we don't agree.
We are going to modify that moving forward. This is a contract negotiation year for DA. We're going to make those changes this year. I can assure you that.
I get that part, but it's not contractual.
Even though it's not, we want to do it all together. We don't want to separate this piece and then.
So we need a policy, is what you're saying?
I think so. We need a
Because I'm just trying to get it resolved, guys, because we can stop kicking the can down and go, let's just stop doing this and use, we put $5,000 into professional development. We have tutoring now to help with licensures. The alternative license is there to help individuals who say that they want to be in the classroom and this is a profession that they want to be in. We as a board, with the assistance of our administration team, has put a lot of effort into getting you from unlicensed to licensed.
We have title money. We have special agreements with universities. We have weekend classes, we're with you.
We have to stop doing it, we have to stop doing it.
Yeah, and so I think that's that piece where it does, because on one end, if we're saying how many licensed teachers do we have, and if people are saying, I don't need to be licensed to make that, then there is a point to look. But I would also like to look at all these scales that we're talking about, because what is then the growth potential? Because that is a difference too. If your growth is capped by not having your licensure, that comes into play as well, because then it's a conversation of, well, I start here, but I know I can go higher, further, longer if I have that. So looking at, I think, getting all of these things together, sitting down, and like I just said before, I know we have the people that can do it, but to Dr. Goodwin's point, it's about doing it. And it's about, saying, all right, this is what we're gonna do to write this, and I would like to be able to look at what's inside of the DEA contract as far as licensing, and then our scales, but then also what is that thing that we talk about, that practice, that this is just the way we've done things. And like I said, we can't always do things the way we've done things if we want to change the way we've been.
I wanted to say this too. This actually is not the way we've always done it. This just happened. This happened right before I came, actually in 2022, where the long-term subs were bumped. Yeah.
So around the same time as a teacher shortage.
Yeah. So this is not always has been. This is like a recent thing. And then the conversation around how do we eradicate and get out of it, that's been since we've been.
And that's the piece that we need to figure. We got people right now on this scale who are licensed teachers who they did the thing that we needed them to do, get licensed.
Yep.
And because they don't have higher education, but they have a license, they're making less than a person who didn't do the instructional time, that didn't have the student teach, that doesn't have those things. And I'm not saying that those individuals aren't capable, but I'm saying there has to be, we have to make getting the license the go here.
That's a
Right.
good one, we agree with you.
Yeah.
So how do we fix it right now? Because I mean,
You mean today?
I personally don't want to put people like keep going because next week it'll be some more. So how do we fix it now? What do y'all need from us?
I don't think this is something that you can pull from them right now. Making plans with a lot of things that we're discovering to fix it for next year. But there's been people who have already been boarded prior to my arrival at these levels. This is not something that came in with me. It has been done. And I would suggest that we continue the practice at this moment. They're put on notice now that it's going to change, and then change it for the 24-25 school year, because that's going to be a lot of work to go back and change all of these people who've accepted a position expecting a particular salary that was approved by the board, and then changing that.
And you all have shown a great deal of humanity. I mean, it's your practice to say we're worried about people. In fact, you say that a lot. And so these people, this is where we are now. I think we need to comprehensively sit down, and there's lots of other components and variables to this than just the fact that those long-term subs make that amount of money.
I would say beyond the ones that you guys have brought us tonight, though, like to stop this process, we have to stop doing it. So I would be fine because you've already given an offer letter, you've done some things and all that to this point. But beyond that point, I don't want to keep giving those things if we're working on them, like the same way we did with the salary piece. We stopped it because we wanted to fix it and not, like that's the shock of a conscience when my thing completely changes the next year.
So this is August. If it is the will of the board to stop this practice in September, we have no problems with that.
Other board members, it's only like two of us talking, so what's your thoughts?
I don't have a problem with that either.
Okay, that's somebody else?
I'm in favor of pausing until we can realign and then move forward. I think it's good.
Anybody
Mr.
else?
Lacy?
I mean, yeah, I'm willing to change course in September.
What I wonder is that, so we know that there is challenge in filling position and whether or not we put ourselves in a more vulnerable position to fill positions. These are clearly professionals that are educated in some capacity to be able to do the work. And as we move forward in this public education model, when we know that our resources are shrinking, how do we consistently address the needs of the buildings? I don't want to put our buildings in any more vulnerable position to lose valuable resources of teachers and instructors and leave children in rooms without education. So does it bear a bigger conversation around what do the projections look like? What percentage of our staff are long-term subs? I mean, really a bigger conversation, I guess, so. And I would like, I'd like to take a moment and pause and assess, and I guess that's what we're asking for, so.
Well, and I'll say with that one too, board member Wick, again, we have put in, because at this point, we're in the beginning of the school year. People who come after this point it wasn't something that you were looking forward to, it's something that you fell into, or something else happened in life that brought you here. But we've put in, we started in January, that tutoring program to help with licensure. And with a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, you can go through the alternative teaching licensure program, which if these individuals go through that process with us, and we are able to help them get beyond that first test. We also put into the professional development of that $5,000. The course that you need to take is less than $3,000. So if they're serious about this profession, or at least want to give us a chance to see if we can take them from where they are today and a year from now get them where they need to be, we have those things in place now that if they are successful and they do have a higher education or anything like that, then they would be honored at that point because they would have that alternative teaching license.
And Dr. Good, I want to say two other things. The first is that Lisa Miner and her team are working on gradations of that space, that we don't agree it should be 51. We agree there's some other number, and as you prove and go forward and demonstrate that you've taken X number of semester hours, you can kind of have a scale that goes up, but not starting there. And the other piece is that, quite frankly, it would reduce a lot of tension amongst DEA members, a lot.
I mean,
So I also think with the conversation being around going a different course in September rather than next week, it also brings up what Mr. Lacy spoke of, as well as people that may still be going through different pieces where things are, because I wouldn't want to have people that could have been in this batch. So with that, I will ask Dr. Davis, where are we, and anyone else, Dr. Lawrence, you can add in there, where are we with our teacher force as we start school this week?
Where are we in terms of what?
As far as numbers, positions that we still need to fill, where are some of our gaps? Dr. Lawrence, you can probably hop in on that too.
So the last time I heard a number, we were less than 50. So
Across the district?
Well, no, yeah, across the district. So to your point, around September gives us a chance to wrap up August, and there wouldn't be that many people. And by the way, the less than 50 is, we hope, that doesn't mean they're all going to be long-term subs. We hope to hire folks who are really actually, not hope to, want to hire folks who are certified teachers. But in that batch, if they're long-term subs, then this would be the last month, and then we could come back with another scale for them and a conversation.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious on what's the process as far as when a person comes to HR to be boarded as a long-term sub, have their license already been issued? Are they waiting on us to sign off on their license? What's the time frame of them getting a license? Because what I don't want to happen is we do this for September, but someone has come in August to make this happen, and now a salary they may have known then has now changed. But also with looking at that, and just for clarity for me, the second part of that is, so every year when a long-term sub is rehired, they start back over at step one?
They never move from step one, as long as they're a long-term sub.
Gotcha, okay. Okay, yes.
And you bring up, I mean, your question, I think if I hear it right, correctly, is a really, really good question around what's the incentive for you to get your degree? Yeah, what's that incentive? And long-term subs typically almost always have a 4-year degree, but what's your incentive to get a teacher's license?
But
To answer your question in terms of that licensure process, the past practice has been here, as my department has shared, they give individuals up to 30 days to get their license. I've never heard of that, and we're stopping that process immediately, but that's what they were doing prior to my arrival. They were allowing people to come in without a license, giving them up to 30 days to apply for their license, and then another 30 or 60 days to get their license. Ohio Revised Code allows us to allow substitutes up to 60 days if their license is pending for it to be approved, but not for us to hire staff who do not have licenses. And so that's a process that I'm working to change. As I said, that's what my department has shared with me they have been doing in the past that needs to stop immediately.
But also, the district is responsible for signing off on that license as
Correct.
well. But the district has been known as well to take longer than 60 days in the past to sign off on a license as well.
Okay.
That was the only thing I had on that. So if we're going to change something, I mean, I'm for it. I think it's really looking at, I think the overall piece of like the long-term subs inside of Dayton Public Schools, but also making long-term substitutes aware of what opportunities Dayton Public Schools has for them, and not just you come in the door, here's opportunities for you to get certified. 7 months later, hey, here's these opportunities again if you want to get certified. Like, what is the, I guess, engagement piece of letting them know these opportunities are available?
I have no idea.
Historically, there hasn't been one. This year, I think at Thurgood Marshall.
You was here last year, so you were part of that historically too. Just to let you know.
You didn't see him at convocation on here?
Was I at convocation last year? I think this is my first year, wasn't it?
Nah, last year you were at convocation.
No, I wasn't there last year, was I?
And as you said today, Miss Minor first day was convocation last year too.
Yeah, I don't think I was there. Yeah, historically we've sent emails out, sent reminders out. Dr. Ramos actually back in the back, she is a master at going out to talk to people about their situation. She would ride out and have a face-to-face and say, here's what you need to do for your license. Here's what you need to do to get a license here. And so, you know, we've done, I think, a lot, but we can do more. We can have systematic seminars and meetings each month to say, hey, here are these opportunities, and we can have part of our curriculum and professional development team go out and monitor and check on that.
I would appreciate it.
Yep.
Can I put the request in that's next to my request for the report card presentation, to have a presentation on what we're gonna do? Like all the things that you just said, so we can just kind of see what that is, because a lot of people watch our meetings. And being able to see that, what those opportunities are, that would be really good in another just channel to put that out into the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
All right.
Anything else?
I'm gonna amend my motion to stop the practice of doing the practice, to stop the practice of, hey, what do I want to say? Of compensating long-term subs on a scale that's the teacher scale based on their additional educational career, and to just put them back on the one starting September 1. That make sense?
Yes.
Toya, pay attention to this section of the recording.
So anyone hired after September 1st will be brought in at a BA1 regardless of their education.
Yes, that's where we are,
So that's,
yes.
so we want to say BA1 or just like the salary for long-term subs? Because
You could designate a salary, or you could say BA1. So typically substitutes, just being honest, do not make $55,000. So
No, they don't.
and this is the only district I'm aware of that we bring them in at a BA1 to be a long-term sub.
yeah, but districts that do have that type of salary do get more engaged long-term subs inside of their district as well. I mean, Dayton Public Schools is probably one of the lowest paid long-term sub districts across Ohio.
Yeah, but if you go into that conversation, we have to finish what we're doing with the DA based on the superintendent's conversation about what they're coming in right now. So in the interim time where we are right now, I would say BA1, because that is tangible at this moment. And as our team goes into negotiations, you guys can figure out between now and where we end up at, what that is, or what that starting salary should be in the next school year for long-term substitute teachers.
My question with that is, in looking at this, understanding we want people to get their license, but then if you look at this or look around and look at just how things are with teacher shortages as well. And to Dr. Davis, correct me if I'm wrong, he said, so if I come in with a PhD and I'm a long-term sub, even though I'm making more than that first-year teacher with a bachelor's, they go up the scale and I do not, correct?
Correct. You can be a long-term sub for 10 years. You'll always
And
be
you'll
at
make
step
that.
1.
So
That's
then,
crazy.
How long does it take for me to get from my first year? So I have one on here now, 51,000, in this exact example that you guys are doing. And the PhD first is at 60,000. How long does it take for me with no educational change to get there?
How long would it take you as a
would
real
it take
teacher?
that
BA1
licensed teacher to go from 51 to 60? How many years would that take?
I'm looking in the back of it's in the back of the DEA negotiated agreement. It's the salary schedule. Thank you. I thought this might be easier to
Dr.
scroll
Jones is
to
trying
it.
to help cheat.
I know, he tapping in.
I will say there is one on here that PhD 1 for social studies teacher is the same as
And so your question was.
PhD 1 for
I know,
long-term
you
sub.
said- I know you said you sent it.
Right, and then that PhD 1 long-term sub, if they come back, is the same, but that PhD teacher
But,
moves up.
but they said there's no change here, but if you look at B4 and B5, those are both level 1s, and those are two different sums. I mean, it's not a big difference, but there is a difference there.
One has 18 credits in their master's.
Right.
So they give them that for credit?
Yes.
Give me a little couple $100.
See? Good
But
luck.
yeah, I do feel like that's kind of crazy that a long-term sub with a PhD is making the same as a certified one as a PhD.
And when you were talking, Boardman Walker, you were talking about the lowest pay, were you talking about daily rate or yearly rate, or both?
I would actually say both. I mean, right now, even with ESS, the district's long-term sub pay is what, $125 per day? I can go out to Beaver Creek somewhere and make $150, $155.
But what does that equate to on the overall, like, balance?
Right.
Because if you make one something a day, you don't get benefits. Our individuals get benefits, and they get all the other things that we've added to
Nah,
them.
our ESS folks don't get benefits.
These aren't ESS
No,
individuals.
me and Dr. Lawrence are talking about some of the other
Oh, you
stuff.
talking about daily people,
Yeah.
not long-term?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, daily's a short-term thing. It's like being an
Yeah.
Uber driver.
Yeah.
To answer your question, it appears as though it would take a person with their BA approximately, they would have to have a master's. It would take them 5 years to get to what a master's one is. And so it'll take them about 7 years, if this is correct, to get to what a PhD one is.
I think there's some things to look at inside all of that. I think there's merit to look at it and see how can we attach that with the other conversations that have been going on, is how do we also improve the knowledge, improve the assistance of helping people get there? Because we are in this long-term sub game because it's a real shortage around. So I appreciate the conversation, and I think there's some things we can definitely look at to see how we can make some great things.
On this list, I'm just curious, is there a district policy, anything like that, as far as, I don't know if they're spouses, siblings, working in the same buildings?
Apparently not. I questioned that as well when I saw the names that you're looking at, and was shared with me that we have multiple kinfolk in the same building.
Oh, wow.
Should we have multiple? Should we?
Only
should we have a
policy is
on
that, the only policy is that they can't supervise one
them.
another.
Should we have a policy on that? I'm just asking her experience. She's been a couple places.
I defer to the board on that.
Have you seen other places that have policies or things like that, that find problems?
Just
other
that you
than-
can't supervise them and that,
Yeah.
board members can't vote on their relatives, but I've never seen a policy that said that you can't have a spouse working in the same building.
I mean, they both certified
Or kids.
teachers, but-
I mean, they certified us.
Man, look.
I'm certified. That's a different. All right.
All right, anything else? Well, there still is a motion on the floor that has not been seconded.
No, I thought it was.
My motion.
Nobody says,
She-
nobody seconded.
Yeah, she wants to change her
Yeah,
motion.
she amended the motion, nobody seconded.
I need a second to amend my motion.
Second.
I don't think I did.
I don't think she did. It's her motion.
It's my
It was your
motion.
motion, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she'll need a
But
second to amend.
Ms.
it.
Wick amended it anyway, so.
So we good. Any questions on the amended motion? Seeing no
Yeah.
questions.
So, to be clear, this is for anyone that has a bachelor's, master's, or a PhD,
What is this?
the motion.
So anyone that's not a certified, is licensed with a certified, as a certified teacher, will be at the first step until they figure out what we're gonna do next with our DEA contract and things like that. So as of September 1st, anyone hired in as a long-term sub will come in as a BA.
One, regardless of their education.
No matter what they have, because again, to us, the license matters more
So-
than the other thing.
Well, my question then would be, when would we be expecting some work being done on it? Because I wouldn't want to keep that in perpetuity. Because I do think there is value in having that PhD as well.
What value do you see?
That value in education, we still need that piece. And it's not as if that person they're coming in, they've put time in. I think there's things to look at. And even how we look at now, the credit hours they've gotten, processes, what path they've gone. So I wouldn't want to just make it blanket. I would want to have some kind of, maybe even if it's a smaller piece, if it's not a $9,000 difference. But I do think there's pieces in there because we've had it around in other spaces.
See, I disagree with you on that one, because
That's fine.
the piece to us as a district, though, I mean, like, having a building full of certified teachers is different than a conversation of 40% of the teachers are uncertified. It doesn't matter if you have a master's or not. If that PhD candidate took nothing in teaching or to none of the things, like they may have a PhD, but you can't manage the classroom. Like you see that different piece on that one there. But I also think too that you have to get the union conversation going with it because, again, the rub with our current union individuals are that you have, again, individuals who don't have the credentials that they have and they're being compensated and there's no incentive for them to go do the other things to become like that.
I will say.
Can I ask Karen, did you realize that when you were seconding this, that you were seconding making, as of September 1st, all long-term subs be at BA1? Or did you think that we were just, there was no motion on
We were pausing for a reset to have the conversation, so that September 1, we could have a new, was it policy, or were we freezing efforts? The last time when we did the salary alignment, we paused and we did no more hiring until we got things aligned. I thought that was the motion.
No, my motion was on, which I didn't need a second because it was my motion. I meant to my guys, but it was on the, what was the line I said here? Did you write it down?
So, if I'm understanding correct, the motion was to make all long-term subs at BA1 regardless of education.
Starting September 1st.
Starting September 1st.
Correct.
And to President Smith's point, I will say my disagreement with that is if a long-term sub comes in as a PhD 1, that is actually the same pay as a certified teacher with a PhD 1 as well. Did you say that again?
Yes.
So on here, there's someone who's a certified teacher and they have a PhD. Their salary is the $60,469. You look at a long-term sub with a PhD, their salary is $60,469. So they're also following the union contract salary schedule and things like that. So my I guess, friendly amendment to the motion would be to include the master's and PhD all to be at that 51 and just work with them to get certified. To get certified, you get more money.
That's what we started.
So you're agreeing with her?
Her motion is.
I was saying for President Smith when he was.
Oh, man, it sounded like you were trying to say something like that.
Yeah, I thought you were saying something different.
But I do have a question about that line item. So 56, is that correct? That it's the same as 55?
It is. I can't answer that.
I mean,
but yeah,
because one is certified and one is not certified. And
that's what I said. Like I would want all of them to be included with that 51.
That's what she's saying. She's already saying that everybody that is a
What you're
long
saying-
term,
we're saying the
no
same
matter
thing.
what they're in.
We're on that one, but my question is is that correct that the long-term sub and the certified individual with the same credentials at the same level have the same compensation?
Absolutely. If
And
you're
that's
at the
for year
same
one.
level, and if I'm a BA5 and I have if I'm a master's plus 30 and I have my sub license, my first year, I'm at that salary. If I'm a teacher with my license and I come in at a master's plus 30 at step one is step one, regardless of what you are.
Yeah.
Only thing with subs is if they're employed with us for multiple years, they do not move on that salary schedule. So the following year, that teacher is going to go to step 2. That sub is, if we hire them back, they will still be at step 1. That's the only difference. They stay at step 1. Step 1 is their salary schedule. That is the DEA salary schedule. And so the motion to put them all at BA1, that would be something in terms of encouraging them to get their degree, get their license.
Because that's the piece that helps us,
Because
is
then
the
they
license.
will be able to get credit for their education and their license.
And it helps us financially on the treasurer side.
Absolutely. The concern is going to be the ones that you have had here for multiple years at these. When we hire them in 25, 26, they're going to be brought in at that BA1 as opposed to giving them that PhD one.
I mean,
So
it's a
just
good thing
sharing
it's-
that with you.
It's a good thing it's happening in August, where
Yeah,
we're at the point
That's
where the point we can help
why we
you.
want to move anything in August August because I like to not move again because we're still trying to find people.
Well, helping them like it happened in August, the things that we just started, we have more time to get them to a license. The alternative license is their option right now.
Right.
If they don't have one of their degrees in the teaching field, if they do, then we try to get them in that one. But that is that's the, put a little fire under some people. Like, we need you to help us help you. Help this district, Patrick Bailey.
Yeah, I got a question. So with the long-term subs right now, how many of them do you have that are in the programs to get a license?
That we have no idea.
That's Sharon Goins, Lisa Minor.
The people that's not here.
Sean.
Can you ask them to be at the next meeting?
Yes, I can do that.
And
Yeah,
we can
yes,
after
but
that?
people were not here.
Yeah.
I got you.
I mean, because I like to, the reason I ask is because if there is no incentive and most of them are not going to get their license, then all of this is kind of not. Yeah, and I would think in addition to that, doing it in a way where we have that piece, because if we're looking at this, if somebody's saying, all right, to Board Member Walker's part about the pay for a long term, would we have filled? Because if I'm looking at it right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I think you would have filled it because people don't just go into this profession just because of the money.
No, I'm not saying, but.
It's a double thing there.
Right, so I think that is, but there are people who might have gone, that's 60, I'll go there instead of getting this somewhere else. So I think it's a conversation to really go, how do we make it to where they want to get that license? How do we help them get there? And how do we write the course that we're on? Because some people do. You understand the world. We've had people that would throw a fit if they go down $5,000, $10,000 in salary. They will leave.
I get that, but you raise the standard by actually raising the standard and helping. Like we're giving them the tools.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's the piece. It's not just putting that in there. It's how do you make sure you're doing it? Like I wouldn't want us to just say we're doing it, but then not also to Dr. Bailey's point. What are we doing to make sure that we are getting those folk in there? So
I will ask: Is there incentives for long-term subs who become certified?
Are there incentives?
Yeah, like retention bonus or
like
something.
being able to go up a step. They're getting ready to get.
It's been shared, it was one of the concerns with the agenda today. One of the incentives that they have been giving them is that once they are licensed, they give them credit for their experience in the district as a teacher. So if I've been a long-term sub for 4 years and then I get my teaching license, they don't start me at that BA1 again. Then I'll be a step 5.
Yeah.
So that is one of the incentives they have been doing if you want to continue doing that. Typically, once you get your license, you're starting at step 1 because you just were licensed as a teacher. So that's an incentive. And to answer your question earlier, Dr. Goodwine, I apologize. It is Article 61 in the DEA negotiated agreement, 61(2) in particular, placement on salary schedule. A long-term reserve teacher shall be placed on a salary schedule outlined in Article 46 at the appropriate column and step. So it is part of their negotiated agreement. It's not a practice.
Can we do it?
We can do it, as Dr. Lawrence has suggested, when we get to negotiations at the negotiation table, but this is not something we can change right now because it's part of their negotiated agreement without an MOU.
So we would need the union to do it.
So we've got to ask the union.
To benefit their members.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, the union mad at y'all right now.
We talk about that a little later. He ain't playing with y'all right now. So now where are we with the motion that is on the floor?
So can I just go back since we're on the longer term sub piece? Is there a way to create like a one pager or Dr. Davis, I don't know, this may be me throwing this out there. Is there a way to add someone to your team that specifically works with long-term subs to let them know the resources in the district to become certified? And I don't know about tutoring opportunities that may be in the district and things like that, just to, I guess, try to help them along the way of being aware of that.
I don't have enough information about that right now.
Okay.
When I said that I didn't know, that doesn't mean that my team is not doing it.
Okay.
We've just been so focused on getting staff in for school starting on Thursday, but I can look into that and find out what's going on, and I'll get in touch with you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Dr. Goodwin? Was that your motion now?
I'm gonna amend it again to
That's why I was
add,
sending it down to you.
to add on it, condition, the second part condition on the union's approval.
You still pushing this motion?
Yeah, that's it, that's it. I
So
got
I
2
mean,
amendments.
it's if the union says
They
no,
say it.
then it's no. If they
It's
say
no.
yes, it goes to that. So.
You push it back to them and let them decide. Say that one more time.
So the second amendment are you retracting? the
No, I'm
first
keeping
one?
my first one, and I'm just adding a second amendment on there now too, to say condition, the part of September 1 is conditioned on the union
All right.
approval of it.
Then this brings a concern up. If the union did not approve that, if it's all tied into the same motion,
No, I said the condition of September 1 is conditioned on if the union approves it.
okay, that's what I want to make sure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be negotiating between now and September 1st.
No.
No, if they want to do it.
We have to get their approval.
Can we push it to October?
I'm good on my day, John. I mean,
This
just ask them.
contract
If you say-
ends
they
at the
say
end of
yes
this
or they say
school
no.
year, and we'll be going in negotiation with them regardless.
So,
They
yeah,
say no, you
Does
no.
that make sense?
yeah.
Look,
Because
So
this
it-
contract is over in '25, so we should be
Listen.
going into negotiations in winter, late winter, early
So
for this.
if they were to say no, then this,
Then
based
it's
on the
done.
wording of Dr. Goodwine's motion,
We are where we are.
it wouldn't change the
Correct.
yes on them being hired.
Correct.
Correct, Dr.
Correct.
Goodwine?
That's correct.
Okay, that is what I want to make clear.
If the union
that
doesn't have a
that
problem
piece-
with it, then we're gonna keep rolling, because
That's what I want to make
that's
sure.
the piece right there. If they, they have an opportunity as a collective group now to tell us if they
If they
want us
want
to
that.
change course. If not, they can no longer blame us if they got issues with this one.
But
And that's,
in-
let's push it in their court and just ask them.
Yeah. So,
That's it.
I
Mr.
mean,
Lacy?
so does moving all of these to BA1, I mean, that, we're not moving these, but
No.
as of September 1st, so we're just gonna do that if the teachers agree, the teachers union.
Because you'd have to
If
have
the
a
teacher union
MOU
agree.
change.
If that's what if they agree, then we'll do it. If they don't, then we won't.
But even if they do agree, does that make it more difficult to hire science teachers and math teachers? that have-
It doesn't impact teachers,
no,
it
not
impacts
teachers.
subs.
Long-term
It doesn't impact.
I mean long-term subs, yes. Well,
I
they're
don't think
teachers,
so,
think.
because
You
I don't think
so?
there are any
Okay.
places around that are paying subs $51,000.
Okay.
Okay. The long-term subs are a part of the teachers' union.
They are referred to in Article 61 as long-term reserve teachers after the 60th day. And so after you're hired for 60 days, which we hire these long-term subs for the entire year, so they automatically default to that, and they are part of the DEA negotiated agreement, Article 61.
So they get a vote in if we sign this MOU, because looking at this list, there's 23 certified teachers on
They
here,
outnumber them, then they
and
will.
there are 53 long-term subs on here. So I don't know if this is more of a continuing public discussion or executive session discussion.
If you're calculating, like, what their voting block or power is, we can get you that number and say, hey, this is how many they have. I don't know how obviously they probably would vote against it, right?
Yeah. Because me, if it's coming to me and it's 53, like, just looking at this list alone, it's 53 of them and 23 of teachers.
I could be wrong, but I think there were close to 700, like, certified teachers. I don't know that.
And we will have to see how many of them are actually dues-paying members, because
exactly.
those are the only
Yeah,
ones
that's
to get the
another-
vote.
So again, wouldn't that be if we do this, then wouldn't that just be putting the ball in their court?
Yes.
For
Yes.
them to say yes or no.
Do what they
Yes.
do.
And after if they say no, then we're done with it.
Yep.
And if they say yes, then it's up to them to deal with whatever they gotta deal with, correct?
Yes, sir.
So why can't, so why
Or
are
they
we?
could just hold off and say,
We can.
deal with it into the contract.
They could say,
You
that's a
said
no.
something and they-
Yes, sir.
That's a no.
So why don't we just go ahead and, so
We'll
we
do it.
don't take another hour talking about this, why don't we just go ahead and talk to them and see what they say, and then go from there?
Dr. Bailey, we'll do it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You want to talk about it. You got the whole board. Include yourself in there.
He was looking at all y'all. He not one time turned around. I just want to put it out. And he leaned back a little bit when he looked at y'all like,
Hey, I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
Y'all-
Any other questions on the motion? Mr. Lacy?
We got you too.
May we have a vote?
President Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
6 yeses.
All right, this is where we're gonna have a fuss, because now we gotta go next. Mr. Superintendent?
I recommend approval of the following classified appointments for vote.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second, any questions?
Who moved it?
Mr. Walker.
Dr. Goodwin?
Dr. Davis, don't you just love this new format? We've been together now for a solid 36 minutes talking about it. It's been an hour now. Talked about it.
Dr. Davis, we love it.
This is fun.
Job well done.
Actually, don't
Thank
have a
you,
question.
Dr.
Hold on, give
Lawrence.
me a second.
I do have one. What's the difference between the temporary administrative assistant going to how many, do we actually, okay, so let me stop. So the clericals inside of buildings are classified as administrative assistants.
It's my understanding that they were all changed recently, clerical 1, 2, and 3 were all changed to administrative assistants prior to my arrival.
Yeah, that was negotiated agreement.
Dr. Goodwin, you find a question?
No, it's lost.
Okay, well, I will also say that I would like to vote on C20 separately, please.
Just vote no.
Abstain.
Question, I do have a question. On our SRO team, I know we added positions and we had back and forth conversation. Is the SRO department fully staffed? You can hop up there.
Right, it was
You
true.
right there. You got to whisper to him.
She could take a break.
If Chief Wright was here, he could pop up.
I'm like, because these next one's yours anyway.
Yeah. Well, currently we have 6 SRO vacancies.
Where are those 6 vacancies?
I can get it for you real quick. Oh, no. We have, let's see, 1 at Mound Street, 2 at Stivers, 1 at Thurgood, and 1 at Wagaman.
If there are 2 at Stivers, how many SROs are at Stivers?
There are 3 slated for Stivers.
So
Hold
it's
on, wait, I'm sorry.
only 1 there right now?
Is Johnson still there?
Yes,
I want to hop in, just to, we do this together. I know Tina Porter and David Johnson's there. I think Richard Wright's plan, he talked to the administrators about, was to secure the high schools with 4 SROs.
4.
So that's why it says 2.
So it's 2 there, we're gonna have
Yeah.
2 more.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, 4 at each high school.
Yep.
Does that take away from the other schools, or?
No, the board approved 50, which is the most he's ever had. When he first came, I think they were like,
Increase the number that they
yeah,
have.
like 21. So the board has done a really good job of giving us the opportunity to secure these buildings. So now 4 at each high school and I think 3 at middle school. So no, to answer your question, no, it does not take away from any of the schools.
Okay, and with that forward, I know we also approved those coordinators' positions. Have those been posted?
They have not been posted. I was waiting on Hewitt to come back because there are budgetary considerations, but they will be.
Hewitt, they waiting on you.
Madam Treasurer, are
Let
you
me
back?
hear, let me hear from
Yeah,
them.
I
I don't know.
You know, I don't just do stuff with money unless Madam Treasurer's here, so I try to stay in my lane. Though.
So if we can get an update on, like, that's more for you, Dr. Jones? The 3 positions that we approved about a month ago, if we can get an update on the status of those coordinator positions for the SROs.
Will
those will
do.
be posted.
Yeah,
We're
we'll do.
waiting on a requisition to be approved. Like Dr. Jones said, it has to be approved by the treasurer. There's multiple signatures that go on that page in order to get it approved, and so waiting on all those signatures.
And I'll have Rich Wright.
Was it budgeted?
It was a board 7-0 vote to add it.
There's a whole chain with Ahmed and, I can't think of the other individual.
Ahmed and Chief Wright.
I haven't heard.
Okay, so.
And we'll have Chief Wright submit a requisition.
Yeah, if you guys could just find out the full, because I know it was a lot of talk back and forth where we are in that and what we need to do to get that project to completion. That would be great.
And I
Most
will
definitely.
add that the board voted 7-0 to add those positions. So I think Treasury Department, if we can just update the budget to reflect that.
Okay. I had another question on the paraprofessionals. Similar to what we asked about the certified individuals, is the licensing process that you talked about that you were ending, is that also occurring with the paraprofessionals?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we're actively working out, going out to buildings, helping individuals apply for their licenses. The issue with the paraprofessionals also is that they are required, because we're a Title I district, meaning we receive Title I funds for low-income students, we have to have our paraprofessionals have their ESEA credential, meaning that they have 2 years of college, or they have a college degree, or they can pass the parapro exam. We are paying for them to take the parapro exam. We are allowing them to take it multiple times until they pass it. We need to end that soon. Dr. Lawrence had initially shared we could do that until December 31st, and if they have taken it multiple times and they're not able to pass it, that we will have to end our employment with those individuals. However, because of the severity and the ramifications to the district by continuing to maintain, we're looking at amending that, making it earlier than December, because there are ramifications for the district by having non-credentialed paraprofessionals. But we are working with them. Mr. Cifuentes is up there 2 or 3 times a week administering the assessment. We're reminding people if they have credits, we're uploading them and doing what we can to help them get through.
Do you guys require board action on that at all, or is that something you guys can just do internally?
It's just something we do.
All right.
Can I ask why it's ended December 31st?
Say it again.
Can I ask why it's ending December 31st?
Being cognizant of the staff members, Dr. Lawrence wanted to give them till December 31st. I don't know what the efforts have been like prior to my arrival, and didn't want to just pull the rug from under them all of a sudden. But due to the concerns and the ramifications to the district, we might have to end our ties with them earlier than December 31st.
Okay, so wait, so this isn't ending the contract, not the employment of individuals.
It is ending the employment of individuals. If you do not have the proper license, there are ramifications to the district for us employing them, and if they cannot pass the examination, then there's nothing we can do. We are working with them to help them pass the examination, giving them the training materials and different things. They are allowed to take it multiple times. The score that you need is a 456. If they're at a 300 and can only make it to a 400, and they've taken it 6 times, we're kind of at a loss.
So I'm just curious of what happens staff-wise if these individuals' employment, because, I mean, is that the same thing if there's subs as well, that they need to be licensed?
There's no sub-paraprofessional.
Okay, so if we end employment with these paraprofessionals, then that's transportation pairs as well?
No, you only need a ESEA credential The paraprofessionals on bus are called student monitors. They just need the monitor permit. Paraprofessional in the classroom are the ones we're discussing who need their ESEA credential.
Okay, how would that reflect River's Edge when almost every classroom has a paraprofessional?
I'm not sure. I can look into it and see how many of the paraprofessionals at River Edge are in need of their ESEA credential.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Can we have a vote on C20?
President Smith,
Abstain.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
1 abstain, 5 yeses.
Dr. Lawrence?
I recommend approval of the following classified exempt appointments, and this is for a vote, and this is D.
So moved.
Second. Any questions?
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin beat you to it. Then Mr. Walker.
All right. One, it's a follow-up conversation from a couple months ago on the adjunct situation that we had at Stivers, where they were capped, I believe, at, was it 20 hours a week or so, or 15 hours or something like that? Have we had any follow, and I don't know if this, I don't think this is for you, Dr. Davis. I think, Dr. Lawrence, this one is for you and Madam Treasurer, and, yeah, just you two. Follow up on converting those individuals from that status and us putting them as part-time employees, to remove the cap of the 50, I think it was 15 hours. Does anybody on the board remember how much it was?
It was 15.
It was.
Like, they could work up to 15.
They could work, so we were trying to get them equivalent to what a part-time employee could work.
Right.
Have you guys had any movement on that?
No.
Okay, can we get some movement on that since we are now at the school year now, and that request? Yeah. Second, Dr. Jones, this one is more for you. What is going on with the transportation individuals that have completed their program and have licenses? When will we see more drivers added to this agenda?
So once those drivers have fully completed training, you'll see them on the agenda for ratification.
When? That was a question. That's the same thing I just said.
You did.
You said you said
I
bus
said when-
trainees, right?
No,
That are
so there are
transit.
about 4 who have gone, they are now licensed. When will we see those? That
Oh, they're
batch?
now licensed. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, it
When
was
will we see
matched.
that batch in front of us, knowing that school starts Thursday?
Mhm.
I know they don't get routes just yet, but them getting fully boarded, what is the timeline on that?
We should be able to submit them to next week, next Tuesday.
Okay, can you have Mr. Anderson here in the future too?
Certainly.
As well,
I mean,
please.
you can have somebody from your whole team. Dang, Hewitt even admit is gone too.
Any other questions? Walker?
Yes, I was just curious. Last year, I know that there was discussion, not board discussion, but just principal discussion with regards to males and females of color and staffing a female and male of color in each building. And just wanted to know what is, is that something that still can happen? What is the budgeting of that? Since they are now all in middle school and high schools, have staff been reassigned to one is in each building?
I'll have to follow up with you with Ms. Dooley and let you find out exactly what the staffing is. I'll ask her to send that to the full board.
Thank you.
No
I've
problem.
got a question about males of color as well, for both males and females. Are they all gonna be this year doing the same curriculum or doing the same thing, or are they all gonna kind of be doing their own thing again?
Dr. Bailey, thank you for that question. There was a training on Friday and on Monday. Both of them were at Stivers. They were terrific. Aaron Dooley led that training. The males and females of colors, or AKA life coaches, the student success coordinators, all of the principals, assistant principals, and all of the counselors were at Stivers. And they were all being led through a training that kind of coalesced around integrating their responsibilities and then identify what each group does and how we check in. And then Ms. Dooley's also going to be meeting with the males. She meets with Dr. Rowley once a week for an hour and a half. And then she's going to meet with the life coaches or males and females of colors bi-weekly, but in different blocks. And so she's got a system set up to stay on top of the data tracking of what they're supposed to be doing. So we're excited about that. And for the folks who are on that committee, we'll send you an invitation to some of the meetings.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cindy want to.
Yep.
You on the committee.
I ain't know. What? Any other questions? Some of us were. All right. If there are no other questions, may we have a vote?
President Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Dr. Lawrence?
I recommend the following of the following supplemental contracts.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes,
Is there, still waiting to see something regarding flag football coaches from last year and if that still will occur this year and where that may be at in the process. The other piece is I know the cheerleading coaches on here as far as assistant coaches, just curious on will the high school assistant basketball coaches, whether boys or girls, be entitled to, I guess, payment for services this year as well? Because I know some were told, unless their population allows for it, they were just volunteer coaches.
Repeat that last.
I got you.
Yeah.
So the first one was around flag football. The second one was the assistant coaches on sports overall. What is the, I guess, salary piece look like for those individuals? Is it still based upon if they have the numbers population-wise, or are they, if they're an assistant coach, they're getting paid as an assistant coach?
Yes, to the latter, and to the former, for flag football.
Former, and then going into, I see that all athletic positions are posted and things like that, but did not see flag football as one that was.
You said you saw flag football?
No, I did not see flag football.
Okay.
I saw softball and everything else in the spring.
Yeah, we definitely plan on having flag football, so we'll make sure we get those posted as well.
And yes, if we could look into the 1, 2, I know Dr. Goodwin is going to get me for retro, but flag football coaches who did coach last year and basically volunteered, look at, you know, if it's $500, something, for their work.
Got it.
Those young ladies.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin?
What's going on with Stivers football?
And they got a coach.
They do have a coach, and I haven't seen them boarded.
I heard he should be up on here next week, is what I heard.
Is he going to be on next week?
That is correct, yes.
That's one. Second, I was so ready to give you guys a compliment about having everyone up to date. In this last one, you had a person from July 8th.
What?
To August 2nd. And we were so close to being 100% of no past due. So, cool. I hope this is the last one because you guys are so close.
Hey, I will say, Dr. Davis' words were, whoever did it would come to the podium.
Man, we ain't bringing in people from no public
She
thing.
did say that.
Is that an athletic supplemental?
No, this is Summer Bridge.
This Summer Bridge.
Is that Summer Bridge?
It is.
It is Summer
Well,
Bridge.
you know, that's because we had one of the most comprehensive summer school programs in the nation this summer. And we just, you know, there's lots of teachers there, so but you're right, we're getting, look.
I do want to acknowledge you guys are getting
That's
better.
a good one. Thank you for that acknowledgement.
You did. You
I mean,
already.
this is a positive thing from you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You know, you gotta earn it.
We.
I grew up in the 1900s.
We almost here. You see that?
In the 1900s, you just didn't get
We don't get a participation award.
Not in the 1900s.
We only gave 3 ribbons out of field day.
Oh, that's back in the day.
It's only
You remember
3.
that? You're too young for that.
Any other questions? All right, just one quick one, Dr. Jones. If we can see outside of the Stivers football, are there any other schools that are still looking for coaches for this upcoming fall season?
No, but all of our vacancies I'll have for you next week as well.
Okay.
Yep.
So we do have some vacancies, but they'll be filled by
No, for the vacancies moving forward, like in the spring and the.
So for fall?
Winter.
So
Yep.
fall, now so we know if those vacancies are fully filled, if we could get an update on just what are the offerings then going to be? Because even, it might not have a vacancy, but it might not have students enough to play, or things like that.
Correct.
I did see that they were starting some sports over at Meadowdale. I did see a soccer sign up too. I'm glad to see that, get the kids out doing some different things. Appreciate
Let
that.
me get one follow-up on him, because he said there was no vacancies.
You said
That's
there's no,
not- that's
he
not
said there's
true.
no vacancies
In fall.
in fall.
So we got all our golf programs and our tennis
That's what I was
programs.
gonna
Our
ask.
field.
Because it's not a, and that's what I was asking, so is that considered a
Right.
vacancy?
That's a,
If,
we didn't
so
fill
what
it.
is the, that's why I said I want the follow-up of the offerings, because say, if we do not have a golf, is it because we have kids that want to play golf and do not have a coach, or we just don't have the kids to want to play golf? And then with some of those individual sports, do they
We don't have
know the
coaches.
ability to be able to go? Like, I don't,
Let me answer a couple for you. So from athletic advisory, the vacancies don't have coaches.
that's what I was
Which the-
thinking.
It's golf and tennis and soccer at some places that have been the biggest vacancies that we have found.
But
Anybody watching that wants to be a golf, tennis, or soccer coach, we will take you. Come to us. We got a couple schools that need that. But there are some schools, Belmont and Stivers are the closest to being, having every sport.
Right,
And-
I know, but with that golf too, getting that and getting that around, I understand the numbers needed are not huge to be able to have a team.
They are.
It's small, it's like 4.
And you can also do.
You can,
we-
you fi-
it's
Yeah, I
for-
played golf at Thurgood Marshall.
And you can also practice with another
with
team.
another team.
Now,
right.
you are still just your high schools, because unfortunately OSHA does not allow us to combine teams of their rules. But with some of the smaller sports like golf, you can, and tennis too, you can practice with
Practice
one
with
coach.
another
So
team.
if we have an interest there, we don't want to cuff or handicap that interest because we don't have a coach.
No, I like you using handicap with the golf analogy at you.
So
You know?
I will add,
I watched that on presidential.
I mean, do we go out and recruit coaches at all, or do we just hope that they'll sign up online?
They go out and recruit.
Yeah, that's
They,
a combination.
yeah, they bring their, in the committee meetings, the athletic coordinators and directors do bring back kind of some of the things that they have done to get out there, which Meadowdale, if you look at 4 of them just started, and to see that our gaps are only sports that we haven't had traditionally at some of the schools, it's kind of good. But even, I think Meadowdale even got a tennis going this year. Meadowdale and Thurgood got tennis going
And
this year.
soccer. So yeah, I will say that those, they have really upped that recruitment piece in those buildings.
And then my second piece of that is, since it was referenced as far as teams practicing with other teams, can coaches coach more than one team?
Not in one season, they
Not in
can't.
one season.
No, they can coach.
Is that an OSHA policy or a board policy?
It's a board policy. They can coach.
Interesting. Need coaches and that's a board policy?
Yeah, because you gotta be able to commit to the team.
Yeah, but
gotta
if
be
you
able to
have,
show up.
if you have 2 teams practicing together,
No, you can't do 2, because then your scheduling is off. You can't do 2 in the same season.
now you just said they could practice
So
together.
to the point,
No.
all right, if I'm the golf coach at Meadowdale and I'm the golf coach at Thurgood, what am I doing when Meadowdale and Thurgood are having competitions in different spaces?
You hire an assistant coach.
For 4 people, why wouldn't that
Yeah.
person just be the coach then?
Yeah, that would just be the coach.
Sound like a board policy that needs to be changed.
If I'm a hire
Saying.
assistant, I would just make
Yeah.
them the coach. All
But
right,
if they're coaching that one building.
any other questions? All right, I will ask Dr. Jones, just for a further date, looking at, seeing how I am glad we are honoring the time commitments of our cheerleading coaches, looking at what we are asking of people who are in these roles. When we're saying we want you to coach, but we're giving you a supplemental for what we call your season, so for football, I'm giving you this August 1st to December 7th supplemental, but then with all expectations, I'm wanting you to do summer camps, I'm wanting you to do spring conditioning,
Convocation.
I'm wanting you to do these things. So if we can look at what does that look like moving forward, how are we honoring people's time that are still doing these things? How can we do that? So that's for a later date, just want to put that on your radar.
I got one more.
Dr. I'm about to call you Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones?
He not as sweet as me. Got that blue and white in him. I will say too that another thing, since I'm putting out what we're looking for in what we talked about in policy today, we are also looking to echo the conversation that are the words that you just put out about, because we are not an unlimited bank here at DPS. We do have caps ourselves, as Madam Treasurer tells us all the time, we just can't do it. We are trying to get booster clubs going again that kind of help with that supplement and those costs, offset some of those costs for some of the things at the school. So if anyone has any experience in being a part of a booster club at any of our middle and high schools, we are looking for you to be a part and help us launch them at each school and help develop these little mini groups, because, I mean, that matters. That's it.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Okay, I do want to put a quick deviation in the agenda, to ask a quick question. I see we have our brother from our community. Did you come to speak today? Okay, see, wanted to at least ask that. You just came to check us out. Oh, that's love. I want more people to come and just check us out. All right?
Come on up and talk about the venture.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
This
ask
is
that.
not church. You cannot
We
force
just call
people to
people
talk.
up.
The pastor down there.
I was gonna add in.
That's
I was
Baptist
gonna
church
add in
101.
a piece, but we can't just call, because then you're gonna have people thinking they gotta get called. You don't wanna start that tradition.
Hey, man. I went out there. It was really nice.
Okay.
That's why people don't go to church now, because the people just call on you to start talking, and you said, I didn't
All
want to
right,
talk.
well, I did want to recognize that. All right, Dr. Lawrence?
I'd like the board to take a look at contracts, and they're for review only.
Okay. Any questions on contracts?
Give us a second.
I do have one.
I'll go to Mr. Walker.
Last year, it was stated that the district was looking to move away from ESS, and I see that it's a contract on here again for this year. And just was curious on, last year was stated this will be brought back in-house.
I believe fiscal year 25 was there was an extension, an option to extend into fiscal year 25, but that was the last year on the contract.
And it wasn't an agreement to come in-house. It was to study other ESS-like entities, and also what about in-house. So it was kind of to put together multiple options to present to the board, Board Member Walker.
Oh, add on with that, then, do we have any result of what the study found?
You brought yourself into that one.
I mean, Dr. Jones is not in HR anymore. We have a new HR director.
So what y'all start?
Yeah,
Y'all start
I
on
mean,
the
we
study?
have spoken with some other service providers, but we have yet to receive any cost breakdowns.
I mean, Dr. Jones thought he was going to have all year, but he didn't know he's going to be rapidly elevated to business manager.
You are correct. The board had to make some changes.
So he thought he was going to have all year. He didn't know.
All right, if we can stay on what we're trying to talk about, please.
I will, and on the ESS piece, I do want to add, has there been any discussion as far as the custodial staff in buildings? Are they included in this? Or as a district, are we looking to add more personnel from that team inside of buildings?
So they are included in this, in that cost. And so we will continue to use them to fill those sub-positions in our building, and then we'll go from there moving forward.
And then finally, Dr. Davis, if I can just ask on, I don't know how many may be on ESS side and then end up getting hired on here at the district, on what the average of that is with this study that's being completed.
Any other questions? Dr.
Right.
Goodwin?
Hey.
Oh, my fault, you had two.
You
Just
said
did
my
two.
final question.
You did.
On that piece,
You didn't say it.
you know how the teachers say, open your ears?
And you paused.
Because I was going to my next thing.
Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
The Dayton Police Department agreement with the city of Dayton, what would these police services cover for this duration?
Dr. Jones, you want to speak to it, or you want me to say something? let me know.
Yeah, that'll be for large events that occur at Welcome Stadium, I guess games as well at our buildings, track meets. It's for the entire school year.
Okay. I'll come back.
That includes like street traffic and stuff like that as well, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. And then, of course, last year they had to come out and assist in crowd dispersion.
Yeah.
And so they'll be doing some of that as well, I'm sure, if some of those actions come to fruition.
Dr. Gilmore?
Okay, first, on the ESS one, is it an error where it says not to exceed $2,200? Even though it's like $2,200,000?
Yeah, it's supposed to be another.
Okay, we gotta get that corrected. Second, Miami Valley Hospital, we've already approved this, so why is it on here again? What's different?
So, go ahead.
We did that.
Go ahead, Dr. Jones. It was that when we approved it approved it for that first year and not for the contract duration.
Yeah, you remember you said you didn't want to pay all the money up front? We said, what if the trainers quit, and so we're paying them incrementally?
Who said that?
No, we did 3 years, yo. So can you confirm that this is something that I could take the time to go look again, but I believe we did 3 years already.
So I'll check, but if I remember correctly, it was 1 year and then
It was
the
more than
next
1
two.
year.
But I'll check.
What's
Yeah,
your Ms.
yeah,
Kidd?
Premier Health.
It's 3 on here.
3 years on here. Yeah.
The contract dates of the last, when you voted on it, said 3 years, but the amount that you all approved was only for the first year. So this only corrected the amount to match the 3-year contract.
I know something with the 3 year thing.
I do have a. That may be a legal question, so I'll hold that one.
All right.
Ms. Kidd, can you give me the approval date on that one, please? No, not that one. This one was a couple months ago. I know because I voted no on it.
It was in June. I think it was the second meeting in June.
While we wait for that, are there any other questions?
Yes, I do want to add, to go back to the Dayton Police one. Can I just get information as far as, this is for $50,000 for Dayton Police. For the contract with the sheriffs, Dayton Police is covering way more, so can we look into see if that amount is the same as this one for them covering one building?
But the sheriff can only cover Harrison Township.
Correct, but the sheriffs gave us in their last contract a listing of what their officers' rate were. And I just want to make sure it's not, if we're going to do $50,000 for them for one building, then how are we doing $50,000 for Dayton Police for potentially 17 locations?
It does have a point. It doesn't, we don't have to be held up on that one because we're not voting on this tonight.
Okay, any other questions? I mean, we just asking questions out here. Anybody else got anything on contracts?
I will add, the Samaritan behavior, is this different than what we just did at the last meeting as well?
That is, yes, it is different.
Okay.
And you know what, I'm gonna send you, I sent it to, should have sent it to everyone, I just sent it to one board member yesterday. I had a meeting with her, Ms. Reiner, so I sent her all the services and how they're spread out and how they're phased out. So we'll send it to the whole board. Actually, I'll text you right now.
Any other questions?
I found it, Ms. Kidd. It's on the May 20th meeting. So will the amount on them, Is this compounding? Are we just completely, like, just changing what we did on that one? Because the way it reads is that we approved 300 and some thousand, and then now we're approving another 1.19. And it doesn't say that it encompasses that first 300,000 that was put out there.
You know, Miami Valley?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, right, so,
No, I'm saying, you have two different things. You have one that has that one, so is this one now, like, is there something to just add on here to include that it encompasses what was approved on the May? That's just my request, that it includes that.
You want
And
to
it's
see
not an
it,
addition. That,
what we paid last year and then what
no,
we paid
not what we
now.
paid
No,
last
that
year.
would-
So what we approved in May,
Right.
I want to say that, like, this includes that, even though it's written, like, it's written on, it's broken down 3 years on here. Because the other one, it was approved in May for the first year. And I don't want it to appear, to look on paper that we are approving these 3 years in addition to that amount.
No, that's.
So just like a word on there that it includes the approval
We're
of
not
of
doing
May
yearly.
20th.
we're not paying year one twice.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Yeah, gotcha.
Just some language on there that states that.
Okay, any other questions on contracts?
Yes, if possible, if we can get added back the under 15,000 list, because it's not on here.
That's under PRs, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the contract list?
PRs are.
PRs under 15,000.
I see it now.
All right, any other contract questions? As always, please ask and direct these questions that you may have after we get out of here, and I will ask staff to please assist in getting those board member questions answered in timely fashion. Superintendent Lawrence?
I would like the board to take a look at the consultant contracts for review only.
Any questions on consultants?
No questions, just excited to see Ms. Sonoy on here for a mentoring for our new health director.
Can we get an update on how the consultants that we did this time last year performed? Or like if they improved, kind of what the feedback was on some of the work that was out there?
No problem at all. You can see Lisa's left hand writing now. I got it.
Tell her, she was just here.
I can't see her left hand.
I can't see her left hand.
She's at home right now.
Watching the meeting.
Yeah, hi Lisa.
Need to be interactive. All right, any other questions on consultants? All right. If there are any questions, please bring forward. Dr. Lawrence?
I'd like the board to take a look at settlement agreements 1 and 2.
All right. These are in executive content. If there are any questions, please direct them to the appropriate staff, and we can get those answered. Do we have anything that we want to talk about now, or can we move on to E? Seeing none, we can move on to E.
And I would like the board for just review to take a look at the memorandum of understanding for the YMCA daycare. And I would probably like to add some context to that we are in the process of planning to have daycare at all 17 elementary facilities. This is just the beginning of that plan, that phase plan.
Can I ask how these two schools was chosen as the beginning stages? I feel like, constantly what I hear in the community is Rivers Edge gets everything before everyone else.
Right.
So I'm just trying to figure out how do we combat that narrative that is out there.
I think you do it by doing what you're doing today, asking the question and being transparent. So Rivers Edge already had daycare there. There was no contract for it when we got here in this team. And so we said, well, it's already there, and it needs to be codified. So that was the first base. And then I think we looked at the number of parents and the number of car drop-offs, and Horace Mann was like in the top 2 or 3. And so I think that's how that one was selected. Going forward, I can assure you that the next time you see this for daycare services beginning before school and after school, you'll see something that'll look like Roosevelt, Edison, Charity, Valerie, something along those lines as it relates to equity.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And another piece, the this can cease in a 10-day period?
Yes?
Is that typical for something like this?
I'd have to ask legal, because we set this to, because, we send everything illegal. So I'd have to ask them that, if that's typical.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Dr. Gawon?
What's the cost to us?
There is no cost to us.
Yeah, it doesn't mention cost at all in here. It just says all financing
Nope.
necessary to operate.
It does.
Where is that at?
In section 2.
Two as in the number two?
Yep, the number 2.
All financing is the sole responsibility of YMCA.
Yeah, when I was in the meeting, I didn't hear anything about cost to us.
Well, yeah, it's that part. Like, I just wonder, what is there a cost?
I'll double check, but I was there. There was no,
Yeah, can we
nothing about
confirm?
it. Unless we talk about, open the facilities earlier.
No, I just wonder if there is any cost to the child care services.
Oh, the cost for child care.
Yes.
Got you.
The before and after school care.
Yeah, that's Medicaid, and income based.
Okay, so does that mean that if it's income-based, the people can pay for it, but if it is Medicaid, then only individuals with Medicaid qualify for it?
Yes.
Right, can you confirm those two
Okay.
things for us, please?
Yeah, everybody doesn't pay, but I'll get that for you.
All right, and then I had a question. It was more so about, because was the YMCA, were they a partner of Edison before?
No, they were a part, well, I don't know about before, they were a partner at Cleveland.
Cleveland.
At Cleveland.
Okay. Are they still a partner at Cleveland?
No.
We just looked at one. Abundant Life now is Cleveland.
Yep.
All right. So Edison, I found out that they don't have as many partners as they had in the past. Not just Edison, but other elementary schools. I heard that we're working to get the child care and before and after school care in them. Are we also working to solidify partners to kind of help with some of those wraparound services and those needs that come after school for our school age population?
I'm gonna have to verify with Ms. Spurlock what you just said about we don't have as many partners as we used to. What is used to?
At Edison.
Oh, at Edison?
Specifically.
I'd have to talk to her about that. I was there Friday doing a walkthrough, but it was looking for something else. But I'll have to ask her about the history of the partners and what we're doing.
I
can't answer that right now.
Can you also ask her to be at the next meeting too? Because we can get it right then and there on the spot.
Hey.
She used to come. She used to have a seat right there.
No, there used to be 20 people out there.
Dang. And we used to get all these answers.
There used to be 20 people out there.
Now I gotta wait a whole week to hear it.
No. I know Ms. Spurlock, she will respond to you first thing in the morning, I'm sure.
Okay,
Hi, Ms. Spurlock.
to tag along with that number of partners and how people are gonna have assistance and things changing. With the, can't even think of the name, people that were helping out from children's resiliency coordinators. Can we get an understanding from you, because there's some things going out in that community that we want to be able to clear up and understand where will we have resiliency coordinators, and then to follow up with what Dr. Goodwin brought in, that level of assistance and coordination and what buildings will have in their buildings versus what buildings won't have certain things.
Absolutely, President Smith. I inadvertently sent that to just one member yesterday that I was meeting with, but I will not only send it to the whole board, but with the full explanation, and we'll gladly talk about it next week.
We might have to talk about it before next week. School start Thursday.
Okay, all right, I got you. Yes.
And people was told that they was
30 days.
Man, listen.
I got you.
All right.
I got you.
Anything else?
That concludes my recommendations and personnel agenda.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you,
No
sir.
problem at all, man.
Madam Treasurer.
Okay. All my recommendations are not for approval, for review only. 4A and B, they go together. we are increasing appropriations because the grant funds received money and they are going to repay general fund. So the grant fund appropriation is increasing, and the general fund estimated resource is increasing.
Any questions?
We still have 20 million in ESSERs?
Appropriation.
Okay. Can I, that'll be a part of the monthly financial, is the update on the ESSERS fund. All right, is there a way to get like a listing of what has been appropriated? And what, I don't know, if departments have appropriations and they have not been used, if we could get a list of that to see if that may be reappropriated somewhere else?
Yeah, we can give you a list.
The deadline is what, next month?
Yeah, we can.
So
And to make sure, I assure you, it's going to be used everything by September.
Any other questions? Next recommendation, Madam Treasurer.
Okay. C is temporary advances. What we did is when we received the grant funds, we are repaying the general fund for the amount received.
Okay. Any questions?
Okay.
Madam Treasurer.
4D is my monthly financial for July. This is a space holder. The Finance Committee is going to meet tomorrow, and it will be approved on Tuesday.
Okay.
Approval of minutes for July 9 and 16. I don't think you will have a question on this one.
No, ma'am.
Okay. 4F is then and now. Let's look at it. And if you have any question, we'll answer.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Every year, the restorative justice training take place. I mean, is this beneficial? Is it, just curious of the need of it, like so far every year?
Hey, I think that training falls in the bucket of all training. Like, how do we monitor it and then check for fidelity? So I would say to you that based on the way that Erin Dooley, Chief of Post-Secondary and College and Career Readiness, the way she has this set up, I think it will this year because they're just regular check-ins. I would say historically, Boardman Walker, if you don't check on it, you don't see results.
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Seeing none.
Okay. 4G is purchase requisitions. They are from several departments. Let's look at them, and if you have any questions, we'll answer.
Do you have any immediate questions for the treasurer or anyone that these purchase requisitions will come under?
Yes. The Dell laptop, James, that was perfect timing. The Dell laptop agreement, are we buying more laptops for staff, or I thought we just went through this?
So there should be two on there for Dell devices.
There are.
One section is Dell laptops for some teachers that we did not order enough for. Some are for other staff members at the schools, not just teachers. So admins, things like that. And then the other Dell purchase is for SRO desktops.
What do you mean, SRO desktops?
So they all use desktops to connect to the cameras today.
Okay.
With the way the system's set up. So it's basically, a lot of those are fairly old. We're replacing them all with one specifically designed to watch cameras.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? That's a good one.
The Service Master by Angler. I see that it's cleaning ductwork at River's Edge. How often are we cleaning ductwork at other schools? Because air quality is a real thing.
It's a good question. I had a conversation with our operations staff, and it's almost as if it's as needed basis. Like this hasn't been done in quite some time, as evidenced by the debris that the vents were spewing on tables and everything else. And so we will definitely have to put that cleaning process on a schedule, on a calendar.
They say as needed to clean duct. You know, they get dirty every year.
Every year.
Like
Every
dust
year.
is a real thing.
And some of it could be, and I'll have to speak with the staff about this, but manpower.
That's that conversation again about us having to figure out a solution. Because I don't think I mean, me personally, I don't think it's acceptable to put humans in a building that flows. Like our ventilation system is a real thing. And if it's not constantly being, I mean, think about a person with asthma. Think about a person with any type of breathing thing. Think about people who just like breathing.
Right.
That piece right there, if there's no cleaning schedule
Right.
on it. So I think that if you guys can take that heavily under advisement to really figure out when is the last time that our buildings, period. I mean, that makes me, did we clean the vents here?
Right. Yeah, and that would be a pretty thorough.
So that was a real question. Right. Like, are the vents here clean?
Yeah,
I
I'll
value my breathing.
Yeah.
That building across the street.
Yeah.
Right.
But this is a company though, right?
This is
That
a
does
company,
it,
right? And
What
and
do you do
again,
about manpower?
so manpower, HVAC, our HVAC specialists, I think we're down 3 positions right now, and those individuals would be the ones that are doing the work with 40 plus buildings. I mean, it's
The ratio sound out.
Right.
So that's that's something we have to come up with some solutions for.
Yeah. You gotta get it done.
I will.
That's a different conversation.
It is a different
but
conversation, but a real one that needs
It's
to
a real
happen.
conversation.
right.
So, Mr. Walker?
I will ask on here, because I see a PO. When liaisons or monitors or SROs are doing alarm responses, do they get mileage reimbursement? Do they have take-home district vehicles, or are they driving here to get a district vehicle and then going to do an alarm response?
Now, they should be able to get mileage reimbursement.
They should or should?
They should.
Okay. And then is that the same thing for, do they use their own cell phones for these alarm responses, or does the district?
They do use their own cell phones. We do not pay for cell phone coverage.
Y'all got some dedicated employees, because I'm not. Oh, okay. And
You say that I used to call you all the time when you was at work. You talking about, man?
that's different. But you didn't call me at 1 o'clock in the morning to go respond to it.
But there was somebody at our job who did call you at 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that's the thing.
They had 2 cell phones. And we paid for one. Literally. My next question. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's something we can look into. I don't know, a cell phone. I mean, we give some employees a cell phone allowance for work that they do, and they don't even respond to alarms. These individuals are actually waking up to actually go and see if there's something going on in the building. And yeah, something to look into. I don't know if maybe I'll create a policy and send it over.
All right, I wasn't done.
So have you gotten a complaint about that?
I have.
On the
Yes,
cell phone?
I definitely have.
Did they complain to their supervisor? They just don't have to answer.
She's right back there like,
I mean, I think
there
if
we go, right there. That's
I
the
think
person
if they
you wanna
complain
talk
to the supervisor and it goes to certain other departments above him, does it stop there, or does it actually come to a board recommendation?
You want us to ask the supervisor? He right there. We just asked.
He just got there a month ago.
I don't even know what we talking about. I'm talking about Chief Wright.
I just, like I said, if that's something that we can look into, don't know, like, there are individuals who are not, like, board direct employees who have cell phone allowances for their work. And these individuals are responding to alarms 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's no compensation or anything like that for them for like their personal cell phone use or anything like that. And again, one of the things that we've always said is when something does occur, we don't want our personal cell phones being subpoenaed, so.
So can I ask Chief Ray, do you get complaints about people using their, when you have to call them to come out on emergencies in the middle of the night? Do they have a problem with using their own, calling them on their own cell phone?
No.
How often do you even have to make those type of calls, percentage-wise?
I couldn't hear you.
How often do you have to make those type of calls, percentage-wise?
We do get calls, but the calls actually, it's kind of vetted first. So the actual first call overnight should go to law enforcement unless there's an actual breach of one of our buildings. And then once that, we're actually processing to get it back in order to where that call now goes back to police first overnight. And then if they need us there, then they'll call us.
Do you
The new
track these
order-
calls?
The new order has not been changed, but we are working on getting that changed with the actual alarm responses.
Do you track the calls?
Do we what?
Track them?
Yes.
Okay, can I get a percentage of, over the last year, of
Okay.
how often this has occurred for?
Yes,
And that's
absolutely.
even on the off days it occurs, though.
Yes.
Do they get compensated even if they answer the call and stuff, or have to go to a building?
Yep, they do. If they travel, they can get mileage if they put in for mileage. Most of them do not. But they get 3 hours. It's like the overtime, same things the SROs do when they go out for a job, for that alarm response. So yes, they do.
Well, I got you up here. We just had the question about the duct cleaning. You know, recently we had the Halo contract, correct?
Yes.
Is part of that checking the air quality as well?
It can be, yes. They can be set up to assess air quality, yes.
Okay. Are we going to do that?
I would recommend we do.
Okay.
You think we should do it on an as-needed basis?
Somebody go check that today. So we
Chief
can
Wright,
just,
you
we
missed
can
that
just,
one.
is that something we can turn on, a feature we can turn on with?
Yes.
Would that be something that would have to come to the board to do that, or is it something we can just do?
The feature turned on?
Uh-huh.
No, it's not an invasion of privacy. It's air quality.
He's just trying to save people's lives, man.
Say again?
I said you're just trying to save people's
Absolutely.
lives. That's it.
Absolutely.
All right, any other questions?
Yes, not for Chief Wright, though.
All right, appreciate
Thank
you, Chief Wright.
Okay, Frog Street Press. Who was or is the keynote speaker for preschool?
You said, who was it?
Yes.
I have to ask Eunice Breivik. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't do the little people that day, but I'll find out.
Another person. Hold on, I have one more. I just gotta get back to it.
She must have this next one's for her. Is the wellness for WellWorks for you, is that something new? The employment wellness program?
No, it's not new.
Can I ask what that is then?
Employ. What page are you on, Brother Walker?
This is page 7.
The bottom.
Page 7?
Now, in the past, we had a
Oh,
5K
yeah.
as part of our
Yeah.
wellness program.
We sure did. You want us to bring it back, Joe?
He'll win.
We can have them.
Right.
I'm telling
That's
Mr.
right.
Lacy, he can get dusted
So,
anytime he wants.
so Brother Walker, we send people there. HR sends people there if they think they have a wellness issue when they come in and talk to us about personal things. So that's what that is. We've sent people there. I even referred people when I was in operations.
All right. I got 2 more questions.
All right.
Okay, back to the frog league. So there was a whole event. Did they take pictures? I see
It
that.
was, they swag surfed at it.
I'm just saying, can we just see what that was? Can I just get a little highlight of a little?
We need to get that bag.
I will either A, send it to you, or I will add it in my
No, I
superintendent's
want
update.
They didn't ask for that. Forget them. This is about me.
You
right
want it?
now.
Okay.
I just want to
You
see
got it.
about 40 photos
You got
from
it.
all the angles, just to see what happened
It's
there.
gonna be a whole bunch of little people. I got you.
And then BSN Sports. Okay, I know we changed the audio systems last year, and I see we changed the scoreboards last meeting. And now we're adding custom audio systems. Like, what is that? How is that different than what we've already done?
So, well,
You got that one, Dr. Jones?
yeah, actually, I was a business manager, and I got this one. Are you okay with it, Dr. Gumar?
I mean, you talking, go for it, man.
So, once we got all the new systems, there were software upgrades, which mean that the integration between all the systems was not, did not work, and so we needed to add this piece so that they all work together. And we did not anticipate that.
I do not understand. Can you give it to me another way?
All our new systems don't talk to each other, so they needed something to make sure they do that. So that's what happened.
So when we bought the systems, we didn't make sure what we was buying would work with what we needed it to work with.
Well, I was just a new business manager then, That's probably my first few weeks on the job. Esther's funds, it just got by me.
You was just spinning, let it rain,
It
okay.
just got by me.
No
Got
deal.
by me.
So that was the other piece that we did talk about. I told y'all to be ready for that.
You did.
With some of those pieces where just in going up there and the usage and the way they put some of those together. Because we should have got the people from the churches to come hook them things
Come
up
on
back
out
in the
here.
day.
Mm-hmm.
Had them at the church hook them together.
I do have, regarding the badge system, what's the status of the current district badge system? Going into this new school year with regards to upgrading the other buildings that we approved last month.
I'll let Brother Jones speak to that. Brother Dr. Jones.
So, just for clarification, you said
a few months ago, maybe last month, we approved the new badge system for Gardendale, Jackson Center, Hyde, I think was one, those type of facilities to be in line with the.
Yeah, so that system has yet to be put in place, correct?
Yeah, Chief Wright probably.
Wright?
Chief Wright can tell you about that.
Yeah, on our legacy buildings, the badging system? Not yet, right.
Okay, and then for the current badging system, I know that people were down here yesterday and the wait time was extremely long. We have an update on when that will be fixed, or not yesterday, but last week people were waiting to get badges and I guess the system license expired. Software expired.
Yeah.
So the prior badge system was all done by P2000, these old legacy buildings that we've been talking about. That's how they essentially take a photo and print everything. So yes, that license expired because you can no longer get that license. That's why we also got to change over the old buildings. You can't even get those badges anymore. So we are looking at a software. We were able to extend that one by a few weeks so we can start processing employees, and we're looking at a new system that allows us to take photos and put them on new badges. That's what we're doing right now. We're hoping to have something implemented in the next week.
Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Dr. Jones.
What is this Sonic Partners for Healthy Meal software? It's on page 6.
Page 6.
At the bottom.
I'll have to get that information for you. I don't know at this time.
Thank you.
That's Amber stuff.
I know, they request. Y'all just request stuff y'all don't know about. Tell them we meet on the 2nd and 3rd Tuesday at 5:30.
Hey, Craig used to come.
Well, this one nutrition.
Greg has to get up at 4:30 in the morning. He's exhausted.
Speaking of nutrition,
Yeah.
any update on the director role?
So I received another batch of applicants, and so we'll be going through those here soon.
I mean, this is second, going into another school year without a director in that department.
Correct, yeah.
Appreciate it. y'all say?
Oh,
Can't get one.
yeah, that's factual. You said it's correct.
Any other questions?
Can't lie. I do have some information on that software, but it aids nutrition professionals to plan meals for students, buildings, and it also helps to keep us in compliance.
So
What meals does it help aid us in?
they have better meals this year?
Like what meals, like is it how they plan their meals? Or is it?
So there are a certain number of like fats, carbohydrates, sugars that schools can serve. And so I suspect that this software helps us to find perhaps vendors that are compliant with FDA regulations for schools.
Would you really kind of like, make
Sir,
sure
so I mean, I'm reading it from their website, but I'll
Also-
definitely get some concrete
And
information.
can you also tell us who uses it, who in our nutrition service department is the actual user of it?
Sure will.
Because I'm also interested in how beneficial it is or isn't for us.
Got you.
Any other questions?
Since we're on nutrition services, has there been any movement on their surplus funding being utilized this year for better meals that the students actually will eat? Or
Well, they spent 16,000 right here.
out of the 17 million?
23 million.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're currently planning for that. Yes. Yeah.
And one of the things where they're serving the union leaders, all 11 union leaders meet once a month, and they're gonna be serving some new stuff.
I did see that today.
And one of the reasons we're in our planning stages is because we do want to put together like a student nutrition council where they kind of advise us as to what they want, what they would like to eat during lunch and breakfast. So we're kind of waiting for students to get back, but we do have a preliminary plan in place for that.
Appreciate you.
All right. Any other questions?
The employees first.
Seeing no other questions, this concludes your recommendations, Madam Treasurer?
Yes.
All right, thank you. As we move into new business, first I would like to publicly acknowledge our treasurer and our business manager. Did have an oversight that I noticed at the convocation today, but we didn't take time as we came and started off our convocation, so I just wanted to publicly say that I appreciate the both of you and look forward to the great work that you will do this year. And although it was not my doing, but I still want to take that apology on the behalf of the district. So appreciate you, Madam Treasurer, appreciate you, Dr. Jones, our business manager.
Thank you.
All right, next, we have our OSBA delegate. We have to select, or have to appoint a delegate for the OSBA. Dr. Goodwin can tell you, I think, Dr. Goodwin, did you sit in there for those hours?
Yeah, but I think Board Member Walker will be the one with the time, and it's gonna be there.
I will actually defer to Board Member Smith's appointments in January that
You have
Ms.
to appoint
Reiner.
for the delegate, you got, it's a
You gotta
different.
do this one, it's
Yeah, we
different.
gotta do
I'm
this
fine with
different.
Ms. Reiner serving as a delegate and me being an alternate.
No, I think she did it last year, though.
She can do it again.
You did.
She did do it last year, her and Dion
Did
did.
it last year.
You gotta take turns with other people learning.
Ms. Kidd,
Or
you got
Mr.
some?
Yeah.
Nah, Mr. Bailey be
Oh,
out
thought Ms. Kidd was.
Mr. Bailey gonna be aware.
I mean, it's during the week that we go.
We can do that. I'll serve and Dr. Bailey is the alternate.
Yeah, I can do
Yeah,
it.
it's during the week that we're all
Alright.
down there.
There we go.
I can do it. All right, now, as this is an appointment,
So,
Go to meetings.
who is?
Mr. Walker.
Ms. Kidd, do we need a vote since it's an appointment? They went on here, we gotta put them in, so I move to recommend to approve Board Member Eric Walker.
Second.
Couldn't even get it out.
And Dr. Bailey as his alternate. Do we have a second? No, we have a second. Any questions? If not, may we have a vote?
President Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Absolutely.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Please be sure to take great notes. Pursuant to section 121.
Whoa.
What we miss?
Whoa.
What we miss?
It's a whole policy there.
You didn't refresh your screen?
No, I did. Oh, you didn't say refresh the screen.
Everybody else knew.
Did y'all hear refresh the screen?
I did.
See?
I didn't.
See? Right.
So maybe just the middle people just didn't know what was going on. The people on the edge seemed to have
Did
it
you hear
all
that, Mr. Walker?
I mean, I already saw the two policies up there.
Oh, yeah, we didn't know. I think it was selective conversations like Dr. Lawrence be having. I'm saying. My apologies, Dr. Goodwin.
All right. Thank you. I do want to say before I go on this, I do want to acknowledge that the convocation looked like a very wonderful event. So kudos, Dr. Lawrence and your team. I had the pleasure of watching from the back because I was late. And it was great to see everything that I saw, and the energy was really good there. I will say President Smith, that's a Baptist pastor's son right there.
Yes, sir. 5 closings.
Oh, wait, 5 closings. And then when he hit the highlight where he was like, he gonna sit down, he was like, I ain't done yet. I got a little bit more for y'all. I was like, oh, okay. That is a pastor's son right there. But you all did a wonderful job. Everyone who was involved with the planning of the event. I think you guys have kicked off the school year in a way that is exciting. My hope and my goal is that everything that was said, that we live up to what people said that we are trying to be. Because if we hit that, we're gonna be solid.
Yeah.
All right.
Just before you do it, and just to piggyback, just about everybody I talked to said the same thing. They really enjoyed it. This year, they liked how you all put everything together. The only complaint they had was not being fed. That was it.
Hey, listen, I will say, these professional developments, to me, the employees feel some type of way that if people downtown are doing these catered box lunches for their 1 hour meeting, and these folks are going to professional development all day, and they get nothing, or they get some little 5-pack blueberry muffins and a water, if we can look at just accommodating these folks. And also, yes, the barbecue, did hear the feedback for that. Said that's the opportunity for them to engage with colleagues they won't see until another PD throughout the year. So we can just look into those, because they did bring up how y'all be having like Dorothy Lane Market box lunches down here.
They say lots of things. And by the way, they get Dorothy Lane lunches too. The bargaining unit's getting the people who were saying that, the presidents.
This wasn't bargaining unit folks. These were actual in the trenches who was mad.
Okay, all right. We'll, I'll just say this, Brother Walker, since we're talking about this. Charity, Ruskin, Eastmont, I mean, the list goes on of lunches that we send to, meaning our offices send it to schools to recognize them. And Brother Jones just barbecued this week for all of transportation, and there were nothing but bones left in the lot. So we,
yeah.
That's
However,
right.
I get that this is probably the third time that I've mentioned on this day is the feedback from individuals who went to all-day professional development, who have not been offered anything but go get your own lunch and come back to see us, or you come to professional development in the morning, we have a super donut and a water for you.
I will say that we will not only look into, we will take you up on that and make sure that folks are.
That's the third time you said that statement in your superintendency.
Well, I'll make sure they're.
I do want to make a request.
Well taken care
Because
of.
one thing.
That make sure they're well taken care of.
I know, right?
Because guess what? You just because you said it, you just say that lets me know that I let Madam Treasurer know.
Yeah.
You heard Board Member Walker say they need fit.
All right, can
All
we
right,
move along, please?
bring it back. I do, okay, I got what I needed. I do want to make one request, Dr. Lawrence, that although I know last year we didn't do it because you had just started, the one thing that I heard people were really looking forward to that they missed was that recognition of the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-year piece. And although for me, it takes forever, I do understand that people getting their flowers is a very big part. So if we can just figure out some type of way to give people their flowers in that type of way and give them that recognition, because it is something remarkable in today's age to work in the same position over 5 years. So however we figure out to do that, that would be great. That was the only thing that I heard from my perspective of something that people missed that they would have liked to have seen too.
Yeah, I'm glad you did bring that up, Dr. Goodwin. Definitely enjoyed seeing everybody today, and you missed it if you didn't get to see Joe Lacy hop up and get his cha-cha slide on out there. He's moving, trying to move and groove. But just, yeah, as we start this new school year, I really do hope that the things that were said today are carried out on a day-to-day basis. Like, we really do need to honor the dignity of work here, and I think by doing that, we give our children the best chance here. So, were there any other, before we go with policy?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, you ready, Dr. Goodwin?
Yes, I have two for us, and actually I have two things to do. So here's the first one.
Got it.
In so much as the Board of Education is committed to the continuing updating of its policies, rules, and regulations, manual, and the committee, which was appointed, has been working towards that goal. The following are brought at this time for first reading in compliance with Board Style BFC policy adoption. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Dayton City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby accepts and adopts the following policies that have been codified for inclusion in the Handbook of Policies, Rules, and Regulations. IICC, Transportation and Field Trips. KBB, School District Logo Use. These policies are being read for the first time. As such, a motion or second is not required. The policies will be available in the superintendent's office for review and the comment prior to their second reading and adoption by the Board of Education. Furthermore, the policies will be reviewed by the superintendent's office, the board's office, and the legal department of the Dayton Public Schools prior to the second reading. That is first, and then second, for all those who were able to come out to convocation, Dr. Lawrence did bring out our district's new mission, vision, and purpose statement, which I want to recommend that we approve the new district. Yeah, I see it on mine, so if y'all hit the refresh button, it's on there. So I recommend, and this actually came out of, this has been over a year's work with the customer service team, and we finally got it to something that we as a district want to move forward with. And even in the statements that Dr. Lawrence said, once we adopt this one, us being able to start our meetings with these and making it really a part of what we do will make it really come alive for us as a district. So with that, I recommend the approval of the district's new mission statement, vision, and purpose statement.
Are we discussing the policies first?
No, that was first reading.
That's first reading.
Okay.
Now, if you want, we can have questions afterward. This one's put a motion now. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions on the motion? Dr. Bailey, I heard you trying to get your flowers down there? Yeah, I did. Just with her though.
Dr. Bailey was the one that said that we, like we in the third grade, that we need to say this at the beginning of every meeting and every district meeting and everything to keep us on point.
That was for you, but thank you.
I want the world to know that the pastor has spoken,
This one, this year.
and that's gonna happen.
My request with that is if we could have a student, potentially. We have 27 buildings, maybe they can come down and be involved in that process.
All right. Anything else? Not? May we have a vote?
President Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
6 yeses.
All right. Now, Walker, did you want any questions on the first reading for policy?
Yes.
Okay.
With regards to the transportation out, so is this stating that it's 1,000 miles, like, total that they can travel out?
Yes and no. From, under the rules, if you go out of state, the whole total round trip has to be 1,000 miles. And that's from state line to state line. But our transportation department has a additional safeguard of where it's the 500 miles from the transportation center to where you're going and 500 miles back to ensure that we don't exceed the actual state regulation.
Got it. And my second piece on this, understanding where the school bus owners come into play. What is the school bus owners, is that stayed in the district? 'Cause then you have superintendent and business manager or designee.
What are you saying?
On the permits, it says school bus owner, superintendent, business manager, or designee must issue a trip permit. I'm just curious of who school bus owners are.
Well, the Board of Education is the owner, so we would have to vote if we ever did anything like that. But it's more likely that the superintendent for field trips for school activities or the business manager for athletic or just athletic events would be the people who will authorize those.
And
It's very unlikely that the Board of Education will ever vote to issue a trip thing. But that's under, again, that language is from, with the exception of the business manager being added in there, it's from the administrative code.
And that's the same thing for chaperones?
Where are you at?
Under chaperones, it's also referencing school bus owner.
Correct, it's getting us the language from the statute, from the administrative code.
Okay. Is there with regards to the out-of-state trips, I see is the 15 days prior to the scheduled event, is that for the out-of-state trips as well?
I believe you have to have 15 days notice for any trip that you take, under the first part where it says trip request and scheduling.
That is correct. Any trip.
It's any trip.
And it used to be 30, we reduced it to 15 to make it more amenable for buildings to be able to take field trips.
And to be able to have the personnel available.
Okay, and then if a group wants to do an out-of-state trip, that group, if it's athletic, if it's band or anything like, they're responsible for the lodging of the transportation drivers.
Any group that does a thing is responsible for that overnight and all that.
I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yep, not just athletics, but if there's an overnight thing, transportation does not take on that cost.
Okay, and then on the other one, is the logo changing, or is this just for the current logo, the way that it's utilized?
For the way people can use our logo.
It's the way they can use it. So PIO is our official branding source. And most things that, if it does not come under that policy and it is something outside of that, they have to go through PIO for approval. And if PIO denies them, then they can appeal to the superintendent. He denies them too, like anything else, they can always come ask the board, but highly unlikely to get there.
And folk can't just go make
Correct.
bootleg shirts.
Okay.
Did I misspeak on that, Dr. Goodwin?
Now you got it. That was it.
All right, so, any other questions on policies?
Nope, that's it.
All right, before we move on, did any other board members have any other comments or anything else for the good of the order of new business, or can we move forward?
I have one more thing. So I want to say I'm excited that the school year is starting because that means every day for 9 months, a lot of parents and guardians will know that their children are in a safe place and they have something to do and they are not eating the food out of their refrigerator all day. So I'm very happy about that. Thank you to everyone who has done the part that they did to make the buildings ready. Our custodian team did an amazing wax job on schools. And I don't know if y'all been in them, but if you go in Thurgood, that thing is shining. Like it's, whew. I don't know if it's gonna look like that after a week because they're gonna be walking on it, but you guys did a phenomenal job of getting the schools ready. I know our teachers have also done a phenomenal job of preparing not only the space that the kids will be in, but adding just all these things to make people feel welcome. I do hope, again, echoing what I heard today at Convocation, that not only, as our student said, that not only do we care about her success, but we care about each other being able to be that safe place for individuals. I think that was very powerful to end with our keynote student from the junior from Ponit. Excited to have you, transportation. I know we have a lot on our hands coming Thursday, but like anything else, I think we're gonna be able to handle that. Kudos again, we got kicked off this week, the transportation center, or maybe that was last week. Transportation center, I've heard nothing but positive vibes from people who were just able to be a part of that. We are going into this school year with a lot of exciting energy. I hope that we can stay on this ride for as long as possible. And I do hope that we do become more like a family and less like things that were in the past. I believe this could just be our year to just be better and do better and just grow a little bit more. But thank you to everyone Can't wait. Hopefully SRO team, they don't have to break anything up and they are just there as a figure to monitor the situation. I really hope that we have very little incidents and we are able to kick this school year off and have an amazing first week that leads into an amazing month and an amazing year. So thank you, everyone.
Bailey? I don't have anything. Thank you. Ms. Wick?
It was a great convocation. Thank you, everybody who played a part of it. One of my favorite moments, I think, was when all of the cheerleaders representing our 5 high schools stood together in unity, and they didn't cheer about we're Dunbar, we're Meadowdale, we're Belmont. They were we were DPS, and it was really a beautiful moment to see all of those schools represented as a collective. And yeah, the energy is great, and I invite the community to continue to be a part of that positive energy and reflect that to our students and relate and engage with our students wherever you are. You see our kids walking down the street. Yeah, let's keep them engaged, keep them safe, and keep them talking. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all.
All right, Ms. Lacy?
No, I don't have any announcement other than to thank everyone.
Mr. Walker?
Congratulations to Transportation for their new building. Excited. I think Dr. Jones or the para-president, Kenny, I don't know which one of them is the ping pong champion right now. But we'll see. Excited for this upcoming school year. Actually went out last week to some community events at Thurgood and Dunbar, held their freshman or open house this past weekend. Went out to Waldman's as well. I think I have a scheduled preview day this week at Wright Brothers, I think one of those. But excited for this year and really DPS being champions across all aspects of the district. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Dr. Goodwin, I had a sense that you may have something else.
I do. I forgot to mention Dr. Davis and the human resource team did an amazing new teacher orientation where y'all talk about a spread. They had real bacon and eggs over there.
You hear that, Brother Walker?
The good juice. It was bags being handed out. It was.
And then they got what today?
Hey, it was a beautiful thing out there, and I appreciate and I'm excited just to see the energy coming out of HR and really trying to build this culture and us really trying to hit that new C and the 5 C's, that customer service, and make people just feel like they are a part of something that they want to grow with and they want to see their career advance with. So shout out to them for that. It looked fun. That's it.
I'm glad 2 of you did get that invite.
You gotta be on the list.
What?
You gotta know somebody to get an invite to the new teacher orientation.
It actually, in defense of Dr. Lawrence, he did put that in his update. That was
Thank
sent
you,
out.
thank you,
do
Brother
gotta
Walker.
read it.
Thank you, Brother Walker.
And I called you. Wait.
I ended up going.
And speaking.
I have nothing to share tonight.
Lawrence?
I just want to say that Dr. Davis had turkey and pork bacon there. She had both. Okay,
Big money.
that's how she throws down.
Hey, her buffalo
And,
chicken dip too. Was.
Okay, it was amazing. And I do, in all seriousness, want to thank Dr. Davis for taking the job. She's been amazing in HR. It's unreal just how good she is and how she's working to transform that space and providing support for the district. So I appreciate you. Katina Taylor, all of operations is amazing, but a special shout out to her. When you talked about those buildings, she's in them with her sleeves rolled up. She is an active supervisor who stands side to side with the custodians, and they work together to make those buildings look the way they look. And then finally, for me, welcome back to everybody. And then finally, the Belmont Band. Wow, let's be crystal clear. I just want to thank Nathaniel Williams. I called him today to say that when I walked up, I thought I was walking up to a Jackson State homecoming. I mean, it was unreal. And that really set the tone for the entire convocation. So I would like to say that, yes, there is a lot of positive energy, and let's be clear, that doesn't happen by accident, it's by design.
Appreciate all that. I would like to recognize my board member, Dr. Goodwine, recently for her efforts in putting on the Dayton Black Pride event.
That was dope. It was lit.
Got to come out there. I appreciate DPS table that was out there. Appreciate Dr. Jones. I know we actually were able to contact people from the community, had some people come out and say that they wanted to put their applications in, so I really appreciate it. People being out and supporting spaces that we need to do more support for. And I just wanted to lift up and give Dr. Goodwin her flowers on being the driving force behind creating this event, and just wish her continued success with that. And then also I want to thank Ms. Kidd and also Dr. Goodwin in helping to prepare some resolutions for some events and proclamations rather. We went to go honor Pete Pullen and Tom Montgomery, and just seeing their faces when they got a proclamation from Dayton Public Schools. Like seeing those men who have done so much be moved to tears by being recognized. I think that goes to Dr. Goodwin's point also of giving people those flowers in public. So just want to give that out. And thank you, everybody. And let's keep the main thing as we move forward in this school year. Best of wishes to everybody. I think I got this, Mr. Lacy. Pursuant to section 121.22G2 of the Ohio Revised Code, I move to this board, go into executive session. This meeting is being held to consider the appointment and employment of a public employee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Any questions? Seeing none, may we have a vote?
President Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Wick,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Dr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Thank you.